5 FM, all day, every day.
Woo, woo, woo!
Ow! KZDC San Antonio.
It is the Blitz here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio. 94.5 FM on the go at ESPNSA.com. If you go there, you'll see our broadcast live as we get our YouTube channel through the inner tubes onto the ESPNSA.com page. And if you go there, you'll see him sitting here alone with my producer and co-host today, James Pledger, for the Saturday morning hangover, but daily here with the Blitz. My co-host, Jason Minnick, says he got a crazy opportunity to go to the launch of the SpaceX. And
how'd that go?
Haven't heard weather postponed it. Not an uncommon thing there in Central Florida, but unfortunately the rocket will not go off. It will be attempted on Saturday. We're going to have Jason join us here in about 30 minutes. As he flew out this morning, it was going to be one of those crazy things, certainly a bucket list kind of thing, and unfortunately bad weather has foiled it.
Can we officially blame this on him now?
Dude, I lived there, and I was there in really the height of the space shuttle launches. In 08 and 09, I think there were 5 launches in 09. There were a lot, 5 or 6. And it was pretty common for delays to happen. It's just, the launch window is so small and the weather is so uncertain in Central Florida. Every day between about 1 and 3, it's going to rain. It's just a matter of how you're going to avoid it, if it's just going to hit you. So some days it might just barely make it, and other days it's lots of weather. It's I hate to say it's pretty common. Unfortunately, Minnick's traveled all the way down there. It looked like it was going to be a beautiful day down there just south of Cape Canaveral, where you gather around. Unfortunately, it didn't go off. But, man, we got lots to talk about. As we were coming on air, Mike McCarthy finished up his weekly conference call. We got a lot of sound from Mike McCarthy as we catch up with him and the Cowboys' preparation for the football season. Lots of really interesting stuff about how Mike McCarthy is getting involved with the team building through Zoom. I think a lot of companies are dealing with it. And Mike, brand new to the company, trying to put together a team and a logo and create kind of a cohesive environment there in the locker room that does not exist yet. It's an interesting and daunting undertaking, and there's some talk on that as well. We'll look at what the idea of the NBA coming back. It certainly feels that way. James, last night I was watching on HBO Inside Sports. I haven't seen this month's the one with Bryant. Of course, everybody's at home, but they had a great conference interview with all of the commissioners of Major League Baseball, football, and the NBA. I didn't have the NHL guy for whatever reason, and Bryant Gumbel. And they all got on talking about what it's like being a commissioner in this day and age. No, they didn't have NBA. I'm sorry. But they had a couple of commissioners talking about things they're going through, and all 3 of them were pretty comfortable with the fact that there will be sports. It's just a matter of dealing with money, and we're seeing that today with baseball. So we're going to look at the idea of the NBA coming back and hear from Doris Burke, the queen of the NBA. Man, it's been a while since we've heard from her. She joined Get Up this morning and had some interesting thoughts, and so did Dan Orlovsky, essentially on the same page, but maybe not. Some thoughts on the I don't know how to put it, and ethics isn't a good word, but the thoughts behind the business of sports and whether, just going back and the general safety that you're dealing with and what so many others are dealing with outside of the millionaire sports clubs that are debating whether to come back. So really interesting thoughts there. Maddie Sky is going to join us for her weekly at Wednesday at 4:30. We always look forward to hearing from her. Hey, if you want the XFL, I've got some good news for you. Vince McMahon is going to drop out of the bidding. He's not going to chase it, but lots of folks are. There's at least 12 bidders to go after the XFL. We'll hit that about 4:45. I will tell you this, though, just a quick thought. If I had the money, this looks like a worthy investment. You look at certainly past performance is not indicative of future return, but we've had 2 separate leagues, 2 separate ownership groups, and by every measure, the games themselves and the viewers themselves were involved. It looked like traction was gained twice. There's a desire out there, and it's just the need for steady ownership and finding a long-term plan to go along with the NFL. It could happen, and there are at least 12 bidders for the XFL. We'll talk about that at 4:45, and then we're going to get into the Major League Baseball situation. It's about a week late. We were, by every measure, we thought that after the owners offered their idea of the prorated season and the games and all the pay was going to be done, that last week would be the messy week. Well, a lot of negotiating had been going on behind the scenes, but over the last 24 hours, there's been a new proposal with prorated salaries, and those high-paid players are not going to get anywhere close to what they even thought they would get under the first proposal. So it's getting ugly with Major League Baseball, and you wonder, as basketball has kind of figured out a way, NHL has wildly behind the scenes figured a way out to get players going. The NFL's watching the Major League Baseball to figure out how are we going to handle our money situation, because nobody's going to get what they thought, and no one's going to even get what they thought a week ago, as the business model of sports has changed. Even what everybody expected, you can't just have the season and prorate the salaries that way. It doesn't work that way because the influx of money to the owners has gone as well. There's no income. So how they're going to figure it out, it'll be interesting to watch. Then we're going to hear from NBA referee Scott Foster, excuse me. I've been saying for weeks, those of you who have not really spent a lot of time in gyms, but are basketball fans, but not really been up close and personal in games, watching a game with crowd noise is one thing. Hearing what's going on in the game is something completely different. That goes for the NFL as well. There's a lot of talking inside of a game, whether it's coaches to players, players to players, refs to coaches, and refs to coaches is something really deep. And one of those things you might not want to hear. You might not want to see behind the curtain what actually goes on between refs and coaches. I think some of the more gentle ears would be quite concerned with the conversations that are had between the two. We hear blips, we hear bleeps, but you never actually hear it on an ongoing basis. Scott Foster, the ref of the NBA, says there's lots of things he's not sure you guys want to hear. And I tend to agree. And James, this weekend, the Bundesliga, the only active league that I'm paying attention to, and Dortmund, by the way, lost. They broadcast a game with fake crowd noise. They'd started out not just, getting it vanilla. And I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't get a chance to hear the crowd noise. I've seen both sides of the debate. I just can't imagine with the way football and basketball is played that there will not be some sort of background white something to kind of draw our attention, whether it's a ready-made spot break, some background bump music, something to get away from just the squeaking of shoes on a basketball field or the Omahas from the quarterback in nonsensical language that is the quarterback on the line of scrimmage. I think they're going to have to find a cover. We're going to look at all of that. But, man, we got a whole bunch to get into. When we come back, we're going to hear from Doris Burke the first time in a long time as she discusses the possibility of coming back. In the background is the story with Dollar Dame up in Portland. Initially, we heard that Dame said he didn't want to come back and play if there was really no purpose for it. If he wasn't going to make the playoffs, what's the real point? Well, he has since said that was taken a bit out of context, but there is a genuine concern for some of those teams whether they need to come back and play if they know that there's absolutely no purpose other than to play. There's no future in it, no playoffs. So that'll be framed in the background. Then we'll hear from Dan Orlowski. It's really an interesting conversation that you want to be a part of. So you want to hang around here because you're on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
Hey, we're both working toward a common goal. Quitting time! This is San Antonio's sports leader, 1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM. All day, every day.
Jason Minix here for Pax Financial Group. At Pax Financial, they know you want to be financially prepared. And in order to do that, you need trusted guidance. It could be time to have Pax Financial Group do a checkup on your portfolio. Is your portfolio concentrated in the international markets, especially China? Call Pax Financial Group, 210-881-5700. If you were recently laid off, before you withdraw from your IRA, double check with Pax Financial Group. They can help guide your long-term decisions. If you're thinking about taking Social Security, if you're uncertain, could be time to have Pax double check your numbers. At Pax, they believe everybody deserves to be hopeful about their future. They understand what it's like to want to protect your hard-earned money, which is why they've been entrusted by thousands of families for over a decade to provide financial guidance. Connect with Pax Financial Group, 210-881-5700, or online, paxfinancialgroup.com, paxfinancialgroup.com. Investment advisory services offered by Pax Financial Group, LLC.
Diamonds Direct celebrates the reopening of our local economy with our most amazing offer ever. 5 years, 0 interest financing with no money down on anything and everything. Yes! Now, for a limited time, Diamonds Direct is doing our part to help you get back to normal and celebrate your love like never before. Our prices and values are the best ever. Our showcases are fully stocked, and we're letting you buy now with nothing down, and you can spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Been putting off that engagement? Get her a $6,000 designer ring now and pay just $100 a month. Did you miss celebrating that anniversary? How about a $3,000 Diamond Eternity band for just $50 a month? Summer is the season for love, and we're doing all we can to make this summer one to remember with exceptional values, extra selection, and the most exceptional finance opportunity. 5 years, 0 interest on approved credit. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
At the shops at La Cantera.
Okay, so where do more Americans turn first in the morning to start their day? Go on, tell them, Robin.
Good morning, America.
George.
Good morning, America.
Lara.
Good morning, America.
So, take it from Robin.
Put some good in your morning.
With ABC's Good Morning America.
In times like these, you may not be thinking about blood donation, but blood is needed every day by patients facing a range of serious illnesses. If you're healthy, please schedule an appointment to donate by visiting redcrossblood.org.
Okay, so where do more Americans turn first in the morning to start their day? Go on, tell them, Robin.
Good morning, America.
George.
Good morning, America.
Lara.
Good morning, America.
So, take it from Robin.
Put some good in your morning.
With ABC's Good Morning America.
Hi, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green, the iconic cleaning formula known around the globe. Try a Simple Green product today, and if you're not 100% satisfied, I'll refund your money. Visit us at simplegreen.com.
Simple Green. Stugatz here. Dell Technologies has special business savings right now to help you office everywhere and stay productive. Save up to 45% on desktops, laptops, and do-it-all servers with Intel Core processors. Upgrade to new modern devices with Windows 10 and save on essential electronics, all with free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call 877-ASK-DELL or visit Dell.com/small business deals.
Land ho! hey, seriously, land ho, guys. Guys, land ho! Land ho! Right there!
The tides can turn quick on the water. Progressive's boat insurance has you covered with Sign and Glide on-water towing. Get a quote today in as little as 3 minutes at Progressive.com.
I gotta say, this land ho thing, not very effective.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Sign and Glide coverage is subject to policy terms.
It is the Blitz. How y'all doing today? It's already Wednesday, man. I love Monday. If you ask me, always take a Monday off over Friday because your week is already sped up. And if you ever have to work, if there's ever anybody asking you to go in and work on a holiday like that, say yes. Take that day because nothing happens on those days and you get the extra time off later. It's kind of a chill day unless you got something else going on. I never had a problem volunteering to come in and work on one of those holidays if I had nothing scheduled because you get the day later when somebody else is going to work. Guess what? You're not. Anyway, hey, Red Raider fans, Texas Tech fans, huge news on the basketball front. Mac McClung is transferring to Texas Tech. The highlight film that is Matt McClung leaving Georgetown. It was announced a couple of weeks back. We saw that Tech was on his final four of the transfer, and he chose Tech. Coach Beard is putting together a squad. And beyond, now we're not sure whether he's going to get a waiver or not, but I'm pretty sure,
to what
given
I've
the
read,
current climate, he's going to get it.
According to what I've read, he's, both he and the Wichita State guard. So this backcourt in 21-22 could be, but Jamarius Burton and Mac McClung are both looking at having to sit the year from what I've gathered so far.
I'll tell you, given the climate, given the circumstance, I can't imagine that after an appeal or two that he doesn't get to transfer and play immediately. It's not in the same conference. It's across the country. There were obviously issues with the coach. It's not a bad kid just trying to bail. I'm not sure about the status of Wichita State, but I know McClung had some issues from the moment he got onto the Georgetown campus. So he'd already lost his backcourt mate who had other issues. So I would be shocked if Matt McClung is not wearing Red Raider red and black when the basketball season finally begins. There's exciting news for a Red Raider fan. It really is. This is I think Tech vaults into the top 3 or 4 in the country right now.
The job that Chris Beard has done since getting on campus, whether it's Zaire Smith or Evans, or he's just brought in player after player, coached them up, gotten them really, really good, and you're seeing the fruits of what he's done these past 3 to 4 years starting to really pay off for the Red Raiders in terms of just the recruiting trail, both the regular recruiting trail, because they're one of the top 5 schools for the number 1 recruit in the country for 2021 as well, who is also thinking about reclassifying to a 2020. And it's amazing what he's been able to do. McClung, all the transfers, the guys that they're bringing in, 5-star forward, Jonathan Kuminga, like they are loading up and are looking like they could be a potential threat. A real threat.
Not potential. There are 3 or 4 in the country as we sit right now. McClung certainly
I meant
a bit of leadership.
The dominance of Kansas over the Big 12.
Man, we thought it was going to happen. Eventually, it will. Let's hope it finally does. No,
I'm going to say I'm going to go out with your Pats thing to where the imminent downfall. Yeah, the imminent downfall of Kansas is coming.
Kansas ain't done, but it's done. Tech has gotten that much better. Baylor continues to get better. It's not a matter of Kansas's decline, though. I do think they're going to suffer in the recruiting battles over the next couple of years because of the mess that Bill Self and the program is in general with the NCAA. Now, I'm not sure how much will come out of that, but I do think it's imminent that the balance of power is going to shift a little bit because there are 3 top 10 teams in the conference now, and just by general attrit, Kansas is going to have difficulty holding on. But huge news for Tech, man. We're excited about Matt McClung coming to Texas, and I'll tell you what, 3 years ago that wouldn't even have been a possibility.
You're home for Red Raider basketball.
That's right. You'll get to catch it all right here. Coach Beard's going to have a fine squad when the things get going and when they finally do. And speaking of getting going, the conversation about the NBA getting started is now we're in the waiting phase for the NBA's offer of what the plan will be. Now, we expect to hear something very soon. We thought maybe even Friday, but as Commissioner Silver has said consistently, he will tell us in the first week of June. He didn't say the first day of June. So it doesn't look like we're going to hear anything on Friday, though it could actually work out that way. But that is framed in the background of if they do come back, when they come back, how are they going to go ahead and play? And there's a variety of opportunities and ways to play it out. There could be there could be 1 through 16 without conference seeding. It could be conference seeding and a tournament of sorts. It could be a World Cup pool play kind of thing. It could also be a larger playoff format, much like the NHL has done. We had heard initially from Dame Lillard from Portland saying that, I'm not all that sure about coming back if I'm not going to make the playoffs. If there's no way to come back and get into the playoffs, what's my time? And that question was posed to Doris Burke this morning on Get Up. The background being Dame, Doris talking about the NBA, and boy, on a side note, man, it's good to hear her voice again. It's been a while as we last heard, I think, basically about a week into this shutdown. So let's hear from Doris regarding the NBA coming back.
Listen, Greeny, from the moment talk of restarting this season began to up until yesterday, my thought has been, if the standard of safety is the first and primary thing, then it should be the 16 teams that have earned their way through 75 to 80% of games played. I don't believe under any circumstance that we should be exposing more people than is necessary to this virus. The virus is not done with us yet. So I don't even like the idea. And listen, I say that knowing I had a conversation with Steph Curry, and very casually he said to me, I am trying to wrap my mind around the idea that I may not play NBA basketball until late 2020 or perhaps 2021. So the idea of not seeing Steph, of not seeing Damian, not seeing Trae Young. Yes, it's difficult for all of us, but let's keep the main thing the main thing. Let's establish a standard of safety, acknowledging some inherent risk. and let's get some resolution to the season.
I'll tell you, that's Doris Burke on Get Up this morning with Mike Greenberg. And it's hard to argue that point. It's hard to argue against the most basic ideas. What's important first. If it's safety, then let's limit the opportunity for any problem. And the only way to do that is to limit the number of teams. And the most you can do there is only take the playoff teams, which, I'm out there. I'm the first one to say that I like this argument because it plays onto my side of the court, which is I don't want the Spurs to go. I want them to. I just soon not see them play again next time I see RC or whoever represents us at the lottery. That's the next Spur thing I want to see is us at the lottery and getting an 11 or better pick. That's all I'm after. But
what about breaking the record?
That doesn't count. This is an asterisk year.
Streaks.
This is an asterisk year.
Doesn't matter. So it counts. You get in the dance.
We'll parse the argument. We've made the playoffs every year. We've had a full season.
That's not true either.
No, we didn't have a full season.
I mean, one of your championships came from one.
I said since.
But they include that season when talking about the streak.
I'm saying, well, hold on to what we can, but we all know this. And when you look back, oh yeah, that year had COVID. We'll never forget this. This is like the Great Depression. We'll always look back and go, oh yeah, that year had that. So I'm not worried about it. No, who the hell cares? I don't even care. I mean, at some point we got to go. Let's get over the asterisk thing.
You already look back at the potential undefeated home record with remorse of not going for that at the time.
Yeah, because I know what happened.
And you should look at this the same way. Enjoy it while you got it.
I did. It's over. The season's done. No, you're acting like I didn't. It's over. Well, there was a concerted effort to be where we are. Mission accomplished. I'll see you at the lottery. But let's get back to the conversation regarding coming back, because you got Dame Lillard, who he's lost somebody close to him. COVID. He has a personal relationship with death in COVID. He has also got a young child at home. So there are genuine concerns. If he understands the value of going to play for the playoffs, but if I'm just going to finish out the season and I'm still a little concerned, do I have a way out? And I think there's a lot of players that maybe have a reason, a note from their doctor, like, this might not be the best idea for me at this time. How are we going to treat that? But then you got the idea of guys that are like, I just don't want to come back for prorated money or anything like that. And Dan Orlovsky responded to the situation in a different way, considering Dame Lillard. Now, we have since come to find out that this might have been taken a bit out of context. But Dan Orlovsky's response, I certainly agree with.
If what we've experienced as a group of people over the last 3 months has taught us anything, that there is no such thing as meaningless anymore. Like, we can't take things for granted anymore. And there's a difference between have to and get to. And Dame Lillard would have the opportunity to get to play basketball again, because there's people out there that have to go do things. Frontline workers and nurses and doctors, they have to go to work. And they have to work more hours and get paid less because of what we're dealing with.
Something that we've been saying, at least I've been saying here on the Blitz for some time, the idea that there's have to and get to. Some people have to. NBA players, you get to. Major League Baseball players, you get to. Not have to, you get to. And you get to because a lot of us have to. So I love the way that Dan Orlovsky put that. Now, we since found out that Dame, that's not entirely what he meant. It was the phrasing was taken a bit out of context, but the very idea of hearing, and we're going to talk a lot about it in the 5 o'clock hour, just a little after, about Major League Baseball, how ugly it is becoming. They're fighting not over scraps. They're still fighting over filet mignon. It's just about who gets the biggest filet mignon, about who's going to be able to come back and play. I say with guarded optimism that the NFL is in an entirely different situation, that they understand the situation with Major League Baseball is such that it is almost unregulated, that that's the bed that they have made, for good or bad. And I think if you're a player in baseball, you've been very happy with how things have come, but you got to be very careful here. Baseball is going to have to be very careful here, because the optics, and it's difficult to even imagine, paint the players in a worse light than the owners. And just think about the cesspool we're talking about, the greed and the sloth involved in professional baseball. And the players appear to be more money grubbing than those money grubbing snot owners. I mean, my gosh, how bad can it get? And we're just at the beginning of this, and there might be a breakthrough. And as my daddy always used to say, a come to Jesus moment where it's either this or that, and I don't want that. But we haven't gotten there yet. I have a feeling that people's attitude about baseball players in general and Major League Baseball as a whole are it's going to shift a little bit, because this doesn't look good. When you got people complaining about only making $7 million when they should have made $35 million, dude, you're going to make $7 million for a couple months' work.
And the thing is, they seem so upset about these prorated salaries. You're not playing a full slate of games. Why should you get your full salary?
Well, there's some legitimate concerns on the part of the players, and I understand what they're saying. But because the offers have changed, and they don't trust the owners, and they have no reason to. So you said this, and now you're saying that, and what's going to be next, I think, is the baseball's concern. They'll meet somewhere in the middle, but you cannot argue money in this day and age when we have more people unemployed since forever, since the 30s.
Since the Great
we have a
Depression.
situation, since people are literally sitting at home looking for something to do, and you're quibbling over only making $7 million? Really? It does. They have to understand it, and I think they're so far into their own bucket that they can't. And if they don't, this is the time where the radical things are taking hold, because people are sitting at home just stewing about stuff. So you got to be very careful where they are. Hey, let's
and they've got a
brighten the mood
chance,
little bit.
though, to really capitalize on something if they can come to an agreement, because being one of the first sports back would instantly boost baseball's Q rating among fans to a place it probably hasn't been since the 90s.
I can't imagine what would happen if the other leagues come back and they don't. I can't imagine, especially, I want you to frame this. Major League Baseball has traditionally had the summer to themselves. They've had the very tail end of basketball, and then you get Major League Baseball for about 6 weeks. That's all we got. NBA has already been talking about moving their schedule, already considered the very idea of moving their schedule up until December 25th or right about then and playing through the summer. Well, guess what, Major League Baseball? You anger the rest of the country, and NBA now overlaps most of your season. Then football comes. It could be a strike 2.5 for baseball, because all that local coverage suddenly dries up, because if it's this or that, if it's Major League Baseball or NBA, when you have to make a decision how you're going to spend your money as a broadcast network, I think the NBA would be worth the investment a little bit more than Major League Baseball. The cash cow will dry up. Major League Baseball's got to be very, very careful. Let's talk with Maddie Sky. Let's catch up with what's going on in our beautiful city. Maddie Skyline coming around the bend. Hang out on the Blitz. You're on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
ESPN San Antonio's Dad's Distance and Dough, presented by Southern Recipe Small Batch. Enter to win now at ESPNSA.com and give Dad the best gift ever. The chance at $1,000, plus a year's supply of Southern Recipe Small Batch pork rinds.
You know, injuries happen even during a crisis. And when they do, skip the ER and get to the Ortho Now Injury Clinic by TSAOG Orthopedics. Ortho Now provides walk-in care for acute injuries like broken bones, sports injuries, dislocations, sprains, strains. They have 2 San Antonio locations, extended hours Monday through Saturday. At Ortho Now, they have on-site x-ray, casting, and bracing. Ortho Now has everything you need to treat your injury, but best of all, no urgent care or emergency room copay. So if you get injured, get to Ortho Now. To learn more, visit their website, tsaog.com/orthonow. For more information, again, tsaog.com/orthonow.
If you were hurt in an accident, Thomas J. Henry can help. Let us help you get a rental car, make your medical appointments, and even advance money on qualified cases. If you've been hurt, start your claim today at tjhlaw.com/radio. That's tjhlaw.com/radio, San Antonio, Texas.
Hey guys, I know there's a lot going on right now in the world, and we're all shopping online. I just saw that AT&T started doing 2 really helpful things for those who want to buy a new phone or device online. They're offering fast, free, no contact delivery, and curbside pickup, so that online shopping is as simple and safe as possible. On top of that, they have a flexible return policy, so you can shop at ease. You can visit att.com to learn how to shop online from the safety of your home 24/7. Subject to change, restrictions apply.
Whether you're working remotely, taking
Oh, why am I so big?
gaming, Dell is here to help you find the right tech. From XPS and Alienware computers that are redefining what's possible with 10th gen Intel Core processors to the latest top brand electronics, our seamless tech solutions will help keep you connected. Plus, get free shipping. Call us today at 800-BY-DELL. That's 800-BY-DELL.
I ain't even here right now. We the Blitz will bring to
It is
you
the Blitz.
best look of the
Here on
city
1250
view.
ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM. On the go at ESPNSA.com. And I highly recommend you visit ESPNSA.com on a regular basis. We keep your sports news updated. That's the locale of all of our contests. And a little bit of unneeded guitar sound. That was pretty cool, actually. We'd like to welcome aboard Maddie Sky. It's always good to catch up with Maddie Skyline. How are you doing as the social distance on our 6th week now, 7th week?
Track. I've gotten pretty used to it, but I'm kind of frustrated because I can't undo my headphones. They're tangled. I didn't have enough time to untangle them. So that's
Well, we've been waiting eagerly all week long. Oh, well, we're glad you're here, Maddie. Certainly, let's catch up a little bit since we last spoke. Has there been anything exciting in Maddie's world? Have you gone to a restaurant? Have you hit the city? Have you done anything outside that is worthy of conversation?
Yeah, I had dinner down on Grayson, and that was pretty. I was really impressed by how well everybody was spaced out and like the level of service that they had there. I think we waited about 30 minutes for a table, and everybody was far apart from each other, waiting outside for their tables. And once we got inside, you had the choice of eating inside or outside, or first come first serve type of thing, or whatever's first available. But everything was perfect. So highly recommend that as well. But yeah, it's weird because it's like half of your friends already are comfortable to dine in, and the other half aren't. And it's like what isn't okay. So it's different.
Maddie Sky joining us here on ESPN San Antonio. Go to our webpage, ESPNSanAntonio.com. Check us out. We got a broadcast live from our YouTube channel here every afternoon. I saw earlier today you're tweeting about the San Antonio Spurs and the Tim Duncan Foundation chipping in once again to take care of the food bank and those are in desperate need.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I don't have the exact amount of how much they donated, but I do know that they paired up with like local businesses too to get those nice, yummy meals delivered to families. I think one of them was Botica and Charity Bar, if I'm not mistaken. And I've never eaten at Botica, but I've heard really good things. So the meals look delicious.
I will tell you from personal experience, my son is on the wait staff there at Botica, and yeah, it's pretty dang nice. It's pretty dang good. It is extraordinary. They're a Peruvian Japanese fusion restaurant. They do things really well. It's a great place to go eat.
They have sushi menus, right?
Yes, they do. Absolutely. And as they're rounding back into form, I highly recommend you want to talk about eating local and eating well. That's an unpaid solicitation. I'm just telling you, great restaurant down at the Pearl. Let's start eating local. Let's get back down there. And I do appreciate that you brought up. I'm in the same boat you are, Maddie. I've got friends that are inviting me out. And they're all going and eating, and I'm still a little hesitant yet. I keep putting a deadline. Do you look down the road? Like I'll say, well, they're opening things up. I'm going to go 2 weeks. And then I went a week. I go, 2 more weeks. And I now think I'm going to have to set something definite to where it's time to start to get back into life. And you know what? Everybody's got their own personal beliefs in that. I'm not trying to bring mine into your life. I'm just telling you how I feel. I'm not ready to get out there yet, but I'm getting a lot of the pointers that it looks like we're getting pretty close to the time where we all can feel a little bit better about heading out into the wide open spaces.
Well, I remember people were saying at first that they would wait until we were at 50%, and now most restaurants are at 50%, and they're still not wanting to go out, which I completely respect. But yeah, it's just some people don't feel completely confident in it, and that's okay too. I would be lying if I said that I don't get nervous. I still get nervous, and that's just something that we're all having to deal with as we work through the after effects of this pandemic. And it's hard to say even the after effects because we're still living in it. We're just trying to find ways of, I guess, coexisting with the virus, which is still very scary. And it's just the world we're living in right now. But,
onward and upward. If you're getting hot, Need something cool to drink? Tell me about this new tea place that's opening up. Texas Tea Playground?
That's somewhere that I want to go. Yeah, it's called HTO, and it's on Bulverde Road, which is really far from me. But I spoke to the CEO, and he teased a couple of more San Antonio locations that are opening. I think one on Heathner, and then he didn't tell me the third location. That one's still in the works. But it's basically like a quick brand store, so it's not like a sit-down operation, but it's you can mix and match all the different teas, and there's a menu of 24 to 27 different, like that's the tea that you start with. So you can put half and half, or you can mix even a third one in. And then the real cool part is that you can put fresh fruit in your tea for an added charge, of course. The citrus is free, but you can add fresh fruit, like strawberries, blueberries.
Like an old South mangonada.
Yeah.
Like a Southern mangonada kind of. You can dress them up. That looks that's something that we do around the house. We just kind of dress up our iced tea to feel fancy. Every now and then,
You really have I've actually never had a sweet tea like that. So that was pretty cool for me.
No, around this house, it is. We don't even sweeten our tea around here. It is just straight up hardcore tea. It's like black coffee.
Oh no, I have to have sweet tea.
Are you British?
I don't know. That's just how we was raised. I'm not against sweet tea. In fact, when I go out and I have it available to me, I get it. But for some reason around the house, it's just the regular tea. So this stuff looks really good. That's how I like it. I will head out there. Maddie, we're following the briefings as you've kept us up to date since this all began. Again, of course, yesterday we saw the numbers are starting to flatten out. It feels very good. Have you? I'm just curious, as you cover these events and the people that are around, I ask you every week, and I'm asking you again, are you getting a sense that maybe people are feeling a little bit more comfortable, like we were just discussing, those that are around, the ones that are making the decisions and looking at the numbers on a daily basis?
I mean, I would hope so, but I did hear last night that there was some cause for concern on the gradual increase of hospitalizations in Nuremberg. Mayor Nuremberg did say that's something that keep watching. So but that's not the only deciding factor of whether or not we're in a good or bad position. They have key indicators and progress indicators, and I think the community count yesterday of increase of cases in the community was 3, if I'm not mistaken, which is a really low number from the amount of numbers I've seen since the start of this. I remember the days when it was like increasing by the 40s and 30s as we had more testing, but the hospitalizations are still something that he's looking at. And I think that is, as of yesterday, was 80, somewhere in the 80 range. So,
87?
87, that sounds about right, yeah.
Now, the expectation is, we've been told that they're going to revisit the stay-at-home order on the 4th of June. That's where we pushed it till that council meeting on that day. You get the feeling that is going to be lifted?
I'm not sure. I don't know, because I thought that maybe the last time it would have been lifted and it got extended. So I'm not, I don't know. I think I do trust that they'll obviously make the right decision, and I think it just sets more guidelines for how San Antonio can open up under Abbott's for kind of give some ground rules for how you can do that. So it's always in accordance to his decision. So I'm not
Maddie
sure.
Sky here on ESPN San Antonio. None of us actually are, and I guess we won't know until legitimately on June the 4th. Well, Maddie, keep up the good work. Your Twitter feed and all that you do with mysa.com keeps us informed and keeps us feeling like we're still a city, even though many of us are still separated a bit. We look forward to you coming on every week. Take care. Maddie Sky right here on the Blitz. We'll have her back on next week, as we do every week. When we get back, Jason Minix is going to join us. He's our embed reporter there at the SpaceX launch just outside of Cape Canaveral, though it has been scrubbed. We'll catch up with Jason and see what exactly is going on there now. I imagine there's a little bit of a traffic jam. Having lived through that, I hope he's enjoying that. We'll talk with Jason Minix next here on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
For your latest local and national news regarding the coronavirus, visit KTSA.com or listen to 550 KTSA and FM 1071. And for the latest on how it's affecting the sports world, keep it locked right here to 1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM.
You know, Kielbasa breakfast links are available at H-E-B stores throughout the San Antonio area, so you can take your breakfast to the next level with those great Kielbasa breakfast links. And these breakfast links are uniquely Kielbasa. Like the dinner sausage you already know and love, these links are crafted in small 150-pound batches with premium cuts of pork and hand-blended spices. They're bursting with flavor, and they come fully cooked, so you can pop them in the microwave for an easy breakfast on the go. And if you're on one of those no-carb diets, Kielbasa breakfast links are perfect. Premium, small-batch breakfast links that certainly live up to Kielbasa's high standards of quality. If they're not the best breakfast links you've ever tasted, call Michael Kielbasa. He'll give your money back. So get into H-E-B. Get yourself some Kielbasa breakfast links today.
Every home has have-to-dos and probably some want-to-dos. The Home Depot can help you do both with the things you need to make things work a little better, or take care of something you've been meaning to do. Maybe do something to start summer. We have the low prices to make it all doable. Order online and get free delivery on orders over $45. Whatever you need to do or want to do, we can help you get it done. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Some delivery exclusions apply.
Joel, I picked up one of those smart devices.
Hello, Nigel. How can I help you?
Great. I can hardly contain myself.
I know, right? Allow me to demonstrate. Greta, who's the #1 company for plumbing and AC repairs?
Quarter Moon.
Not bad.
Oh, I'm just warming up. Greta, who's the coolest plumber in San Antonio? Watch this.
Joel Frederick.
That's nice.
Wait. Must be a glitch. Greta, who's the most handsome?
Joel Frederick.
No, intelligent.
Joel Frederick.
Folks, don't let all the noise about the latest and greatest gadgets and gimmicks overwhelm your home. At Quarter Moon, we keep things simple. We fix plumbing and AC problems. From the outhouse to the penthouse, we can plumb it, we can cool it, and we can heat it. Just call 651-5899.
Greta, tell me something encouraging.
Nigel, when in doubt, be like Joel.
License number M13229 TACLA 000743445E.
Okay, you know how it feels when you've saved enough for that long-awaited home edition? Now imagine an addition on that addition. Whoa. That's the feeling with Capital One, where a new savings account earns an interest rate 5 times the national average. That's right, 5 times, as represented by 5 times more singers. This is banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Rate comparison based on FDIC national rate. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Every home has things it needs, things that need to be maintained, fixed, or replaced. The Home Depot is here to help you get it done. You can easily find what you need on our app, order it online with the push of a button, and have it brought to your door with free delivery on over 1 million items. We have the essentials you need, the online know-how you may need to do it yourself, and low prices that make it all possible. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
It is the Blitz. You're on ESPN San Antonio. Father's Day is just around the corner. We're about a month away, a little bit over that. And if you want to celebrate your daddy the right way, or maybe just take home some of the finest pork rinds you could ever eat, go to ESPNSA.com. Get yourself entered into the ESPN San Antonio Dad's Day Distancing Dough Contest. It's so easy. You can use your email, Facebook, whatever. Get yourself signed up. We're giving away $1,000 and a year's supply of Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds. Way to celebrate Papa and feed him at the same time, the gift that keeps on giving the whole year through there, James. We're chasing Jason Minnick. Says he got a crazy opportunity at the last minute to head out to Cape Canaveral there, just a little bit east of Orlando, and watch the launch of the rocket that was going to be the first American launch of our own astronauts to the space station in a decade or so. Unfortunately, weather didn't cooperate, and they scrubbed the mission. If you're just joining us, they're gonna try again on Saturday. I was, I'd forgotten.
I hold him to blame. I'm placing the blame squarely on his shoulders.
Sure.
He went out there. The shuttle was supposed to launch today. It didn't. It got pushed back, and we just tried to call him on his phone. He wouldn't answer. I think he's ducking us because he knows that he caused this.
He's waiting on your call right now, James. Yeah, he sent us a nice little picture of him drinking a beer right over the water there at Cape C, and it. So yeah, I say Cape C, because I was a local there for a little while. But he was out there at Cape Canaveral, and we're about to catch up with him. SpaceX, it was scrubbed today. The expectation it will go off Saturday. I wonder if he's planning on staying where he is, because we need him back as soon as possible. We'll get a hold of Jason here in just a second. Earlier in the day, we brought up the fact that Dame Lillard had been quoted in saying he didn't want to come back unless there was actual a reason to play with the NBA and the Portland Trailblazers. As they sit, they ain't in the playoffs, and what would be the point of coming back if there weren't going to be playoffs in the future? Well, it turns out that's not exactly what he said. He was on an interview just a few minutes ago on Jalen and Jacoby. We're going to have him explaining exactly what he said and the context in which he said it, and I think we'll take it a very different way. But the thought still remains about coming back and playing here. The NBA does expect to offer us their plan here in the next week. We know the NHLs, they have the plan. They don't have a time frame, and we could be months and months away from the NHL from one of the couple of things that I've heard. The NBA expects to be playing much sooner. Part of that's going to include, playing on the campus. They don't like the bubble idea. That term doesn't work out very well, but a campus environment, which looks like it'll be the ESPN there, the ESPN zone or whatever it's called there at Disney World. It's set aside own little sports park there next to Disney World. Here's something you got to think about, James, that I don't think a lot of people have thrown into, and this goes into the dynamics of the NBA itself, the hierarchy amongst teams and players. Because just like any resort, you got your high-end apartments, condos, and hotel rooms, the high-end special ones for the high-dollar ones, the ones with lots of marble and the piano up on the front as you walk in to check in, and the beautiful lounge area, the beautiful hotels that you expect to see there in Florida. But you also have every other range too. You go from there to your high end to your mid to low, and then you got your Motel 6, open the door and look at a truck kind of a hotel. All of it. Well, if they're bringing in a whole bunch of teams, not everybody gets to stay in the luxury suites because there's just not enough of them. Who's going to get the Motel 6s of the Disney World Park?
LeBron?
The Motel 6?
No. He's going to get the high end, roller coaster in your room.
All right.
Hotel.
Who gets the other end of the scale? Them's that had to play their way in?
Obviously, the guys like Drew Eubanks or...
Well, you're going to have to put the teams relatively close together, I would think. You'd quarantine the teams uniquely together, so that would mean entire teams might end up getting the not so luxurious surroundings. So
your record determines your hotel.
You'd think that would make the most sense. I'm not sure that's going to carry most water in the meeting.
Why not?
I'm not. Hey, I'm a 10-year vet. I'm making this much. I ain't saying that. That is beyond my. It's not going to be a deal breaker, but the conversation behind the scenes, I think, is going to be very interesting to see which team gets relegated to the hinterlands.
If the NBA season fell apart because players didn't want to go into a less than sweet hotel.
Are you having trouble getting through Jason? He keeps texting me, James, that he is available. Try him one more time.
I've called, and there have been no answers. They've been going to his voicemail. So
right, maybe he's just. We'll figure out. We won't get him today. But he. The reason, if you're looking for Jason Minix, he was. He
knows the hotline number. He can call.
I know. That's why I'm not. We're not worried about him. Yeah, I saw a picture of him earlier holding a Yingling, or at least showing a picture of a Yingling, and that was about 11 o'clock this morning. So I'm pretty sure we're for the better. Not dealing with that. The NBA waiting to offer us their plan, I think, has a lot of us waiting on bated breath, and we're certainly going to get into that. The XFL was put up for sale by Vince McMahon, the World Wrestling, the WWE, that actually was the owner of the XFL, put it up for sale. And, after it went under, there had been some initial thoughts that maybe Vince McMahon had used this as a ploy to go ahead and buy the franchise that is the XFL from the company that he already owns and put it under his own name. Well, he's since run from that. He's not going to be an investor, but it turns out that there are a fair amount of investors to try to jump into the professional football realm. It's not really all that surprising when you think about it, that there might be an entity out there that looks at the two previously failed ventures and say, they failed not because of play and not because of interest. They failed because of external issues. The first one failed because, quite frankly, they didn't have the money, and it was a kind of a shell game. They were hoping that it would all work out well in the end, and it just, quite frankly, didn't all come together the way that a young kid and a bunch of people that didn't, quite frankly, have a lot of financial experience or backing were trying to do it. Well, then finances show up and things are working well again. And then, of course, the virus just kind of pulls the rug right out from underneath everyone. I can't imagine, James, if I didn't have the money and was a football fan, that I don't see a potential here. There is a future in spring football. Now, the issue would be, can I buy the franchise? And I might have to wait for a couple of years. The guys that might actually end up playing for me are probably still in high school as I sit. But if I can get the franchise and get the situation set up the way that I want, I think that there is a potential for immediate success from any entity that buys it. And if I am a media group, if I am someone with a fair amount of cash, like there's some out there with the potential to go buy this and form your own league around a larger kind of synergistic group, where I have a media group and I have a franchise, I have advertisers all built into one company. It seems like something that could be not only what WWE thought the XFL might be, but actually have the potential to make some money.
Yeah, it has plenty of potential to make money. You look at it, and it was garnering great TV ratings, and those are only going to go up as people become more accustomed to the league. We're already starting to see, whether it's the onside kick or certain things, a sky judge, starting to be talked about, the possible implementation into the NFL. So we're starting to see it almost as a breeding ground. Guys like PJ Walker getting second shots and working their way back into the league. We're starting to see, them develop people. And one thing to think about with this league is the potential of what's happening with the NBA G League right now in terms of guys. The NCAA is hanging on by a thread right now to try and remain what it's been. If you give,
I'm glad you brought that up.
If you give the XFL the opportunity to pay players to come to their league and play for them for a year or two and jump them to the NFL faster than you would in college, where you have to wait 3 years, then there is the possibility that you can get, whether it's a Trevor Lawrence or whatever it may be, with the NCAA hanging on by a thread the way that it is, and football trying to carry that torch, and them slowly realizing that they don't need them to succeed on their own. Like, the XFL has an opportunity to bring younger, more talented players in and showcase them better and allow them to make money off their likenesses.
The Houlihan Lokey is the XFL's global investment bank. And he's a spokesman for this. According to them, 20 different bidders have offered money. And all of them, evidently, one of the precursors, one of the parts of the prep was you had to offer a plan to not only buy the XFL, but offer an opportunity to go ahead and play immediately, as in 2021. So it looks like those that are offering or trying to buy the XFL might actually have a plan in place to get them going, though I think that's all for due diligence sake, just to see who has a financial capability of starting fast. But in the long term, James, I think we're going to benefit by the XFL happening. And you brought up something absolutely valid that I think a lot of the bidding properties see, and that's an NCAA losing control of those middleclassmen, of those sophomores and juniors that are going to be see the opportunity. And I don't see anything precluding them from going other than just a barrier to entry put up by the NFL. And that barrier to entry could become the XFL. You want to leave college, but you ain't ready for the pros. The XFL is the place to be for 2 years. And that's about it. And if you only sign a 2-year deal, if it doesn't work out in 2 years, you're going to be replaced. You're going to go up or down is what you think. And they'll find a way, like the G League, where there'll be a few lifers, but for the most part, it'll be guys going headed up or headed down in their professional football career. And it appears to start to be grabbing hold with college basketball, as we're seeing at least 3 and maybe a 4th join the NBA G League this year. There's some word of another high school senior that might actually jump to the G League to get paid and go ahead and prep. So huge news from the XFL. This is not an underhanded deed from Vince McMahon to kind of come back and buy a property for pennies on the dollar. That very well was brought down by his ineptitude, but it wasn't. it was in fact the COVID virus. We'll keep you up to date with that. When we come back on the other side, we're going to talk about the NBA coming back. We're going to hear specifically from Dame Lillard. He spoke out about the quote that was attributed to him regarding not wanting to come back if there were no playoffs. We'll listen to him. And we'll also hear from Doris Burke because she has some really interesting statements as to how the playoffs should look according to the current medical ideas. Then we'll also hear from Dan Orlosky about want to and have to ideas from professional sports. We'll also hear from NBA referee Scott Foster. Now, we've been talking for weeks as the leagues are talking about playing. There will be very few fans in the stands, if any, to start. And when you get that, you're going to hear the actual sounds of the game. Yeah, it's all fine and dandy when it's edited, but do you want to hear a live version of the assistant coach screaming at a referee because a few curse words and that kind of stuff? Because that's where we're coming. And referee in the NBA, Scott Foster, has some concerns about the communication between the two entities. Certainly something to consider. Major League Baseball, they're in a mess and it's getting uglier. When we get back, we're looking directly at Major League Baseball. The owners and the players are now debating the sliding payroll that will be what the Major League Baseball owners want to pay the players. Lots of players losing lots of money. But guess what? All the players still getting paid more than you or I. We're going to talk about the very idea of players not wanting to play because of their relationship with the owners. It's about to get completely ugly there. NBA opportunities, NFL opportunities. We're going to hear from Mike McCarthy as well as the college, the Cowboys head coach had his conference call of the week. Very difficult to put together a team via Zoom meeting. I want you to consider what he's going through right now. He's having to formulate a team, not just about the calls and what they're going to do on the field, but create a team atmosphere, that kind of convivial thing that we all expect a team to have. He does not have the opportunity to do that. He doesn't know any of these guys. How's he getting that done? You'll hear from him telling us that.
I figured it out. We'll do what Spencer Dinwiddie did.
Just leak it?
No. We're gonna we'll start a GoFundMe and see if we can make enough money to buy the XFL.
I figure it's going to take a couple more zeros than our GoFundMe will actually bring up. But if they'll take some post-dated checks, I'm in. That's how I am for most of my investment opportunities. We're chasing Jason Minix. We think he's somewhere between Cape Canaveral and Orlando International Airport. And if the traffic's what I remember it from a launch, it'll be a while. Well, we're going to see if we can grab him in the 5 o'clock and hear what his sojourn was like as he flew out to Orlando to check out the SpaceX launch that has been scrubbed. We'll be watching it on TV, I suppose, Saturday afternoon if the weather does hold out. We'll also look at the NBA, Major League Baseball, and we're going to have a question of the day. I'm just not sure if it's going to be from RJ Ochoa. James, have you come up with something? Because I have actually a couple of questions that, it will certainly not be to the depths that RJ can go. I don't have the rabbit hole that he has, but I have a couple of questions regarding our day-to-day life in this quarantine world. I have a few. Well, I don't have that. Another thing we're going to look at, and this is actually kind of funny, the NBA players and WNBA players are all, on the Instas and all talking about cooking. And there's some recipes that have been offered by a couple of NBA players. How about some oxtail soup? In the mood for some oxtail or something that Enes Kanter makes that I can't even pronounce? We'll talk about what the NBA can offer you as well. Hang around with us. The Blitz is going to go all the way till 7. We want you with us. Stay here. We'll be right back.
Every Thursday night at 7 after the Blitz, ESPN San Antonio brings you Down for the Count, the premier wrestling and sports entertainment talk show featuring news and interviews from WWE, NXT, and AEW. Down for the Count, only on ESPN San Antonio. You can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. Go Lickin' Wingo, weekday mornings starting at 5. 1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM. All day, every day.
Diamonds Direct celebrates the reopening of our local economy with our most amazing offer ever. 5 years, 0 interest financing with no money down on anything and everything. Yes! Now, for a limited time, Diamonds Direct is doing our part to help you get back to normal and celebrate your love like never before. Our prices and values are the best ever. Our showcases are fully stocked, and we're letting you buy now with nothing down, and you can spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Been putting off that engagement? Get her a $6,000 designer ring now and pay just $100 a month. Did you miss celebrating that anniversary? How about a $3,000 Diamond Eternity band for just $50 a month? Summer is the season for love, and we're doing all we can to make this summer one to remember with exceptional values, extra selection, and the most exceptional finance opportunity. 5 years, 0 interest on approved credit. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
At the shops at La Cantera.
Nobody plans on getting arrested, but it happens. Get out of jail fast by calling my good friend Albert and his great staff at AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else. Don't be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you a PR bond, make sure you understand the conditions before accepting it. Call AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans and are open 24/7. Call AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121 or mybestbailbonds.com.
License number 149.
Right now, the world feels different as we stay apart to make sure we can safely come back together. Till then, there is something you can do without even leaving your home. Respond to the 2020 census online, by phone, or by mail. The census impacts where hundreds of billions in federal funding will go for things like hospitals, schools, and roads. Now is the time to go to 2020census.gov. It's as easy as it is important. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
To those who love the grind, run with us on a John Deere Gator UV, because your daily routine may change, but the land stays the same. There's still work to be done, a herd to keep in line, and ground to cover. Being linked to the land means the work never stops. So keep going on a Gator UV, featuring a hefty payload capacity, smooth riding suspension, and the power to forge ahead. Nothing runs like a Deere. Search John Deere Gator for more.
All day, every day. All day, every day.
That phrase is trademark, not to use outside tradition. Ricky Bobby.
1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM. KZDC San Antonio. Jason Minix, Rob Thompson, The Blitz.
It is the Blitz here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, on the go at ESPNSA.com, and go check that out. Our broadcast is running live there as it does every day, 4 to 7. Get to see the video of only me, as my co-host Jason Minix is deep in the depths of the Florida swamps, and RJ Ochoa gone, and that leaves the two of us, man.
I was about to say, my chopped liver?
What? No, you're always here. You're part of the furniture. You're like the curtains. You're always here.
Like a bad area rug.
Hey, we are hearing that the potential for the NBA's comeback and how they're going to do it is starting to take some shape. We're going to look at that immediately and also hear from Dame on his ideas of coming back and figuring out how the NBA is going to do it. We'll talk Major League Baseball here directly. The idea of the sliding scale and the alternate way that the baseball players are going to get paid has stirred up the pot that we knew was coming. The hornet's nest has been shaken, and now everybody is mad at everybody. We'll look at the numbers here in just a bit. The NBA ref situation without fans is also going to be really interesting. But let's look directly at Major League Baseball. So we knew this was going to be ugly because the way baseball is structured and the way that baseball is funded, the players funded in a completely different way. There is no salary cap in Major League Baseball. They get to make more money. They play more games, and they know that they have a lot more control in their league than the players in the others, although all have a fair amount of hand and control. Well, we understand that the owners have looked at their business model, have seen exactly what they think will be income. And keep in mind, the prorated pay, certainly I understand if I'm a player, if you're not going to, I can't get paid for 82 games. I'm not going to play 82 games. I get paid per game. Let's pay me that. Well, that's with a business model that has full stands and full alcohol and everything that goes along with the game day experience. That is money that goes directly into ownership pockets in some contracts. Others they don't, but for the most part, they do get a fair amount of the gate. Also got to keep in mind that the number of games that they're not going to be able to broadcast because they won't have any of those games to get paid for advertising. So they're looking at it, and I'm not defending them. I'm just saying this is what they're offering to the players. And you look at that, and players are not happy with the disparity of how little they're going to get paid according to what they would have gotten paid. Now, James, when you hear this, when you see this on its face, it just doesn't. The optics are such that no matter what comes after, as soon as you hear a millionaire saying you're not going to pay me as much millions, even though you're still going to get millions, It's very hard to get past that, even if they are standing on principle.
I get it, but the players, when it comes down to it, I'm just so sick of the players complaining about not getting their full paychecks when it's all said and done. Like, the owners are going to take massive losses in this. Let's go ahead and chalk this up as they're not trying to not pay the players to not pay the players. They're trying to recoup some of the losses that they're already going to take from whether it's concessions, parking, fans in attendance, secondary market, television money loss, even because you're not playing a full schedule. Like, they're taking L's in a whole bunch of columns.
Well, let's talk about exactly what the league's proposal includes. It includes bonuses if postseason games are played, offers lower salary players a higher percentage of their expected wages, and would give some of the game's biggest stars a fractional cut in their salaries. The formula the league offered, for example, now this is kind of in depth, but it makes some sense. Would take a player scheduled to make the league minimum, $563,500, and give him a prorated number based on the 82 games, which is $285,228, and then 10% off of that, leaving him with a salary of $256,706. That's the lowest paid. And they get a higher percentage of their salary, but they're still getting a fractional amount. Now, if you're making $20 million or above, you still get it prorated, and then you get paid at 20% of that. And that is a significant hint for a lot of players. It looks significantly less, though they're still getting paid in the millions. Think about Mike Trout. $37,666,666. Highest paid full season salary in baseball. That would mean it would turn into $19,000 prorated and have a base salary of $5,748,577 after all the cuts. He would still make nearly $6 million for a couple of months' work. How can you get past that as a fan, as a grocery store clerk, as a guy who gets up and drives the truck every morning, the cop and the nurse that are getting up going, I'm getting paid the same, maybe a little bit of hazard pay, but I'm not getting to go live in a resort for a couple of months, or at least some nice place, and go play baseball. You get to. And we're going to hear from Dan Orlovsky talking about get to and have to.
And about players complaining about, coronavirus, the safety. Let's face it, when these leagues return, there are no safer places than what's going to be offered to them, whether it's bubble cities or no fans in stands. Only everybody's testing on the way in and out of the stadium. They're going to have multi-rapid tests available to all the players at all times. Like, sports arenas and teams are going to be some of the most taken care of individuals throughout this entire thing. There is going to be no safer place than where they're going to be.
Don't you think, James, don't you think that part of the discussion is past? That the idea of safety is no longer part of the conversation, that most players have already gone past that idea as they sit at home on a Sunday afternoon and watch crowded beaches and full beach parties. And, if you can gather, they are. And the NBA players are young and fit. I think that the safety issue is a concern for a few. A genuine concern for whether it's someone very near, maybe it's a personal issue. We know that it does affect those with asthma a little bit more worse than others, and there's a lot of NBA players with asthma. So there are some that have a little bit more concern than others. But I don't think in general, especially hearing from the commissioners, that the players are concerned about safety in the minority. And I would hope that that minority is taken care of. So then you get past that. If it ain't about safety, but it's about just the herd safety, we'll put them all in one place. That's fine. But I think we've all gotten to the point that we're accepting a fair amount of risk. I think that's where we've come to, that, maybe a month ago we weren't ready to accept that risk, but now we're getting a better gauge on what that risk is. And I think a lot of people out there are going, well, given what the suffering was, I'm ready to take a little bit of risk. And that's just everyday Joe. And I think NBA players are feeling the same way. There's a lot that need to get paid. So let's not discount that as well.
Well, safety, I bring the safety issue up because it seems to be whenever they're talking about wanting their full salaries, they backhand it with, I'm risking my life. There's safety. Blake Snell on his tour. I'm not coming back for a pro rate, but if you give me my full money, then I'll come back. Because I'm putting my life on the line. This could, so you keep hearing these comments from whether it's Snell or Damian Lillard or whoever it may be. The safest places to be are going to be wherever these sporting leagues decide to return because of the safety and care in which they're all going to put into these players. Because let's face it, the owners have a lot of money invested in these players. They're not just going to willy-nilly throw them out there.
We hope. I mean, the assumption is that they look at the players as more than just commodities. But yeah, I think you're right. I absolutely agree that you're not going to risk your franchise. But at the same time, when your bank account is dropping by the millions by the day, I think that everybody's eager to get back. And I think the safety idea at first was a legitimate argument that I think for whether it's right or not to have let it get to the back burner, I think that just general society has said that's not enough of an argument because I got up this morning and went to work. So that's not enough of an argument to say we're not going to do it. Now, you could come up with other ideas that maybe we would agree with, but there's too many people that are going back to work. So you can't come to us and say, well, if you're worried about your safety, so am I. But I don't get that choice. And how dare you come to me with that same issue when I desperately need this in my life? This is part of who we are. That's why you get paid what you do.
Let's say basketball comes back in some way, shape, or form. Basketball ends up returning, golf ends up returning. We have the majors pushed later in the season. The NFL starts. Let's say even college sports comes back in some semblance at the beginning of the year. If baseball does not play over these perceived money issues between the players and the owners, can the sport survive that, or will that be baseball's final death knell, as it already fallen out of favor as a entertaining sport for fans in general? We see the popularity start to wane? They were starting to try and get some of it back, but it feels like between whether it's the sign stealing or the PEDs, it doesn't seem like baseball can get out of its own way at times.
The good news, I would agree with you on any other time. But the good news is I think we're going to frame this time as this was this time. Now, I would have thought baseball would have died 1,000 deaths. And, they continue to there's still baseball and it's still the most lucrative to be a player of. So it ain't dying, but they have a genuine risk of being further marginalized. Baseball will never get smaller than the NHL, and they'll always be bigger. But then the absolute minimum baseball will ever be is that, because there are people born into baseball, and those are the diehard fans today. And then they have this shrinking periphery. I don't think it's going to shrink it. Or kill it, but it certainly will relegate them into a secondary status, because it'll open the door for the NBA. If that's the next sport we see, and then we see it again, we see the end of this season, and then we see the NBA again before we see Major League Baseball, I tell you, that'll be very hard to jump back into the fray when we've watched 2 consecutive seasons of something else, because quite frankly, that's all we had.
Well, if you think about it too, like we talked about the possibility of the NBA pushing back its start to Christmas Day, pushing back and finishing the season closer to August. Baseball used to at least thrive in television markets and stuff like that with advertising, which is why it's gotten as big as it has, because it basically commands about 2 months of the summer uninterrupted from any other sport. If it now has to compete with football and basketball postseason and the college and NFL season, like if it doesn't have its own time to shine for that small moment,
the NHL.
Exactly.
It becomes the NHL. That's
there
where they're
are too
headed.
many other things. And if you mentioned basketball, if Fox Sports Southwest is deciding between Spurs or Rangers, who do you think they're picking?
Certainly in this region. Yeah, as broadcast companies shrink, as revenue shrinks, as advertising has shrunk, the dollar that you have available to buy these play-by-play sports is certainly going to shrink. And we've seen Fox in general suffer from the amount of money they have spent, and also the ABC and the Disney conglomerate as well. They spent a lot of money on play-by-play and had to shave off a lot of talent. The money just isn't what it was, although it's still going to grow. It's still a booming entity, and I think that advertising will be even bigger once it all comes back because of the desperate need. The dam will bust open. Hey, Blake Jawrin is the starting tight end. It's even strange to say. Blake Jawrin, the starting tight end for the Dallas Cowboys, got him a brand new deal. We're going to hear from Blake coming back on the other side about being a brand new starting tight end with the Dallas Cowboys, his relationship with Jason Witten as he talked to him, and getting ready with a brand new head football coach in Mike McCarthy. Blake Jawrin, Dallas Cowboy tight end. We heard from him earlier. You're going to hear from him next on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
Never get left out of the conversation. Tweet the show on the Maddie McMurphy's Irish Sports Bar Twitter feed at ESPN_SA.
That's my bad. I was sending a tweet.
1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM.
Let me tell you about Quartermoon Plumbing, Heating, and AC. If you're having issues at the house, there is one company to call, and that is Quartermoon at 210-651-5899. At Quartermoon, they are experts at worst-case scenarios. Big job, small job, residential or commercial. They don't have commission sales reps that provide estimates and second opinions. Their service trucks are fully stocked, and they have all the equipment needed for any job and a great experienced staff that has earned an A-plus ranking with the Better Business Bureau. If your AC isn't working right, and you know it's summertime now, call Quartermoon if you got plumbing issues. Quartermoon Plumbing, Heating, and AC. 210-651-5899, 651-5899, or online, quartermoonplumbing.com.
At Sprint, we understand saving money for your family is now more important than ever. That's why we're offering our best unlimited deal. Switch and get 4 lines of unlimited for just $100 a month. That's right, 4 lines for $100. Plus, the plan includes Hulu, 500 megabytes of mobile hotspot, DVD quality streaming, and more. If that's not enough, to really amp this up, we're including 4 amazing iPhone 11s on us when you trade in iPhone 6s or newer in any condition. And now, Sprint customers enjoy access to expanded coverage on the T-Mobile network. Shop from the comfort of your home at Sprint.com, call 800-SPRINT-1, or come see us in our stores. Phone after $29.17 per month credit for 18 months credit. Apply within 2 bills. Cancel early. Remaining balance due. Requires new account. Unlimited basic after $731.21. Pay $35 per month per line with autopay. Data deprioritization during congestion. Coverage and offer not available everywhere. Excludes taxes, fees, and roaming. Speed maximum use rules. $30 activation fee and restrictions apply.
Injuries happen even during a crisis. When they do, skip the ER and get to the Ortho Now Injury Clinic by TSAOG Orthopedics. Ortho Now provides walk-in care for injuries like broken bones, sports injuries, dislocations, and sprains and strains. With 2 locations, they have extended hours Monday through Saturday, on-site x-ray, casting, and bracing. Ortho Now has everything you need to treat your injury with no urgent care or emergency room copay. Injured? Get to Ortho Now. Visit TSAOG.com/Ortho Now for more information.
At Advance Auto Parts, we want to make sure your vehicle is ready to roll when you are. We have the right oil and filters at the right price every day, from brands like Pennzoil, Mobil 1, Valvoline, and Castrol. And if you make a qualifying Pennzoil purchase this month, you'll get Gum Out Regain Fuel Injector Cleaner for free. Also, visit AdvanceAutoParts.com and tell us about a hero in your community. You could each win $1,000. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. Keeping your vehicle going keeps you going, and these days, you can't be too prepared. At Advance Auto Parts, we're here whenever and however you need us. Take our free battery testing, for example, with no appointment necessary. And if it turns out you need a new one, we'll even install it for free with batteries starting at just $79.99. We also offer curbside pickup, so you can have any order brought right out to your vehicle. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
Every home has things it needs, things that need to be maintained, fixed, or replaced. The Home Depot is here to help you get it done. You can easily find what you need on our app, order it online with the push of a button, and have it brought to your door with free delivery on over 1 million items. We have the essentials you need, the online know-how you may need to do it yourself, and low prices that make it all possible. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
It is the Blitz. You're on ESPN San Antonio. If you need an aggressive, experienced litigation attorney you can trust, Jason Thompson is your man. I can tell you from personal experience. He's represented individuals and families around San Antonio for many years. He will get what you and your family are owed by law. Negligent drivers of cars, trucks, and commercial vehicles, beware. Jason Thompson is your attorney. They will pay all that is owed. The number to remember, 210-900-0400, or go to alawyer4us.com. Blake Jawrin has a brand new big old contract and has made it. He is the starting tight end of the Dallas Cowboys. Had a chance to hear from him earlier. He spoke of his brand new deal, James, and the excitement level there, and the guy that he's replacing. You never want to be the man to replace the man, though. Seems like that guy is taking care of Blake Jawrin as well.
Yeah, Blake Jarwin's got this great new deal, $24.25 million, 3-year extension this offseason. He's taking over for the GOAT, Jason Witten, which, by the way, it's not the first time he's done this.
Yes,
he also did it the year that Jason went into the booth. So it's not his first rodeo taking over for Jason Witten, but he is a man that, by all accounts, feels ready to step into those shoes this time.
I'm grateful for sure that they believe in me to kind of be the future of the tight end position here. It's my job to now not ever be content with that. I can't just say I got a good deal, I'm good now, I can coast. That's definitely not been my approach so far, and it won't be my approach going in the future. Now I got to push myself even harder and prove myself every single day that I deserve what they gave me. And like I said, I'm grateful, but also, excited for the opportunities that beholds with that.
Jason Witten has been part and parcel to the Dallas Cowboys as a player, though as a tight end, his importance has lessened over time. And certainly there were things that, as old legs go, he just wasn't capable of doing. But one thing you could be sure of, if it was 3rd and 10, he was going to be standing on the 9.5 and fall forward for that first down if it was even remotely possible. You look at what the difference is going to be as the Dallas Cowboys offense is now loaded for bear. It appears now on the edges for sure with the addition of CeeDee Lamb, and we know what we can expect from a healthy Amari Cooper, which we hadn't seen in a while, and of course Gallup and his growth. You figure this offense that Jawrin might be an be an opportunistic big-time player for the Cowboys. If you have to account for Zeke behind him and you got to account for those 3 wide receivers, those times when Jawrin is in, when they've got the big old package of receivers out there, he might be the unaccounted for guy that could truly benefit in this offense and maybe provide some numbers of like Jason Witten saw back in the heyday, the years when Witten was one of those primary targets. And it might be just a matter of timing far over whether he's actually earned it or not to be the starting tight end for the Dallas Cowboys, though he does have some learning to do. And Jason Witten's always been a part of him being a Dallas Cowboy, and still it appears to be a part of him taking that starting job as Witten has moved west to Las Vegas.
Yeah, and it was interesting because he was asked on DallasCowboys.com by Nick Eatman if he'd spoken to Witten since he left for Las Vegas, and I was kind of shocked.
Yeah, he reached out about 3 weeks ago and just told me, man, good luck. I'm excited for you. What an awesome opportunity it was for me. And, just make sure I don't take any of it for granted and, push myself daily. And, that means a lot. Have a guy like that come in and, reach out like that. So that kind of response saying, like, man, I'm excited to see you go out there and do your thing. I know you'll do great. So to kind of have that, friendship between us still it's awesome.
The opportunity to learn under a Jason Witten is probably as important as it was to have a good tight ends coach or a head coach. So the expectation is the relationship is going to be firm. And, we were concerned about Witt leaving and, he put his house up for sale. And there was a little bit of worry that he might actually be leaving the city of Dallas and moving that van full of family that he has all the way to Vegas. And that wasn't the case. He was just staying around the city. But, you can't be a part of a franchise like the Cowboys and not always consider yourself a Cowboy first, and you're just going to rent a jersey for a year or two to make a little bit of money and have some more fun. But the relationship that he built is certainly going to benefit Jawrin in a variety of ways, and just the caginess of a great old vet and what he's learned from him, I think is going to be invaluable from the very beginning of his second starting stint.
And what he learned from him, he went into great depth talking about that at one point with Nick Eatman. And one of the things that stuck out that he said was talking about Witten's work ethic. Like, that he's one of the greatest of all times, but he still goes out and works on the small minutia, the minute details after games, before games, at practice. And as a younger player, he's like, you can't not go do these things too, because if he's out here doing it, I have no right not to be out in the field also working on my craft just as hard as he is.
The idea of what he is going to be in this offense and is going to be interesting, because while Witten was always, not so much at the end of his career, but still a bit of a threat, a first down threat. He was always a guy that you looked to, and it was always seemed to be open. When it was 3rd and under 10, Witt would be a primary target. But what kept him on the field and what kept him available was his great ability to block. And you didn't have any worry about having him set an edge for Zeke if they were going to run it on 3rd. And that's going to be the primary difference between he and Jawrin, because even at the late age that Witt was playing with, was still a far better blocker than Blake Jawrin is. So the concept of what Jawrin will be, not only I think is going to change, not just because he's not the blocker, but we've got an entirely different offense, I believe. I think we're going to see a little bit more of a downhill threat from our tight ends, because they're going to be linebackers on him, I would think, more often than not. And he's certainly got the kind of speed to run away from those guys. So I think his yards per catch might go back to those Witt years. I wouldn't be surprised to see 12, 15 yards a catch from the tight end. And if that's the case, this offense is moving down the field on a regular basis.
And that's something, at least when it comes to Jawrin and his impact on this offense. You mentioned all the weapons earlier, whether it was Zeke, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, a healthy Amari Cooper. You can only stretch and guard so many, so there's going to be one-on-one matchups for Blake Jawrin, who is hyper athletic, to go out and win one-on-one battles, and that could see him really exposing certain defenses this coming season.
Yeah, we got a taste of some downhill speed. What was that late in the season? He had him a runaway touchdown that was exactly
against the Giants.
Yeah, so we know that he's certainly capable of it. We know the athleticism, as you just mentioned. Yeah, I'm excited to see, and certainly as Mike McCarthy is in a very unique situation as well. He had an opportunity to get up on a conference call earlier today and just talk about the state of the Cowboys. And, how'd you like to be a head football coach coming to the new city in the middle of a lockdown, trying to form a team? And now that a team is so much more than just the 53 players in uniform. A team is a unit, a functioning unit. And if you're all on Zoom calls, it's hard to build that. He was asked whether he had kind of focused on that, and the fact is he hasn't. They've kept it professional just on the football side of things, and a little bit of the personal stuff, some introductions, but the building of the team, the idea of what a team is going to start when training camp begins, and goodness knows when that will be or where that will be. We'll hear from McCarthy as he talks about where he is. We're going to come back listening to Doris Burke, and man, it's always a pleasure to catch up with Doris. Doris was on Get Up this morning, was discussing the NBA coming back. She has some thoughts on what she sees as a possibility of the format, also ideas on whether players should be concerned about their safety or whether they should be playing for the playoffs and only the playoffs. We have a lot of the NBA to talk about, so stay here. You're on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
ESPN San Antonio wants to congratulate the class of 2020. Upload a picture of your senior now in the Senior Spotlight, presented by the Gamez Law Firm at ESPNSA.com. We're showcasing the future now.
Now they always say congratulations.
When that wing craving hits, Wingstop now delivers. Visit wingstop.com to get flavor delivered right to your door. At Wingstop, they're continuing to feed your crave through carry-out and delivery, including the option for no-contact delivery. So Wingstop, they now deliver to satisfy spicy, saucy, sweet, and sassy cravings. You can go classic, you can go boneless. There's no wrong answer. Wingstop.com, or you can download the Wingstop app. Wingstop, where flavor gets its wings. Nobody ever plans on getting arrested, but it does happen to a lot of people every day for all kinds of reasons. If you get arrested, a family member, a friend of yours, you want to get out of jail fast, the best way to do that is by calling my good friend Albert and his great staff at AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121, or check the website, mybestbailbonds.com. You can even start the bonding process there online. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else to get out of jail. A lot of reasons for that. And you don't want to be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you a PR bond, make sure you truly understand what those conditions are before accepting it. Your best option, AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans available, offer a free shuttle service. Of course, they are discreet and confidential and open 24/7 to get you out fast. They have offices all over San Antonio and Texas, services nationwide. So here in San Antonio, up in Dallas, down in the Valley, and Corpus, anywhere in between, AA Best Bail Bonds, license number 149. The phone number, 210-225-2121, 225-2121, or online at mybestbailbonds.com.
I'm James Pledger, and in Major League Baseball news, the league's return to play hit a little bit of a bump in the road as ESPN's Jeff Passan reports the league has proposed cutting the salaries of the highest paid players on a sliding scale, with the lowest paid players taking lesser cuts from the full prorated shares in their first economic proposal to the Major League Baseball Players Association. The Athletic reports that the Players Association is very disappointed with Major League Baseball's economic proposal, calling the additional proposed cuts massive. In college basketball news, the Texas Tech Red Raiders are killing it both in the recruiting and transfer markets. They landed transfer forward Mac McClung as the Georgetown guard picked the Red Raiders over BYU, Auburn, Arkansas, Memphis, USC, and Wake Forest. McClung averaged almost 16 points a game last season for the Hoyas. Tech's backcourt could be very scary next year as McClung will be eligible along with Wichita State transfer guard Jamarius Burton for the 2021-22 season after sitting out the upcoming year. Texas Tech is also in the top 5 of the number 1 ranked recruit in the 2021 class, 5-star small forward Jonathan Kuminga. He's reportedly also considering Duke, Kentucky, Auburn, and the NBA G League, and he's also reportedly considering reclassifying from 2021 to the 2020 class. I'm James Pledger for ESPN San Antonio.
Whether you're working remotely, taking web classes, binge-watching TV, or gaming, Dell is here to help you find the right tech. From XPS and Alienware computers that are redefining what's possible with 10th-gen Intel Core processors to the latest top-brand electronics, our seamless tech solutions will help keep you connected. Plus, get free shipping. Call us today at 800-BY-DELL. That's 800-BY-DELL.
An auto policy from State Farm gets you collision coverage. And this radio ad from State Farm gets you coverage of this beloved 90s hit.
I hit a car. I hit a car. I hit a car. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. My agent's gonna help me.
For more coverage, visit statefarm.com.
I think it's time to let go.
It is the Blitz. Here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM on the go at ESPNSA.com. I want to remind everybody, if you've got a graduate, let's celebrate them. Go to ESPNSA.com, upload a picture, brag on them a bit. We have pages and pages of graduates highlighted across our city, whether it's high school or college. You can join the likes of all the fine kids around San Antonio who have loved ones that care about them. Want to brag on them a bit. If they can't have everybody gather together to celebrate their graduation, we can gather together virtually. Go check it out. Go to ESPNSA.com and upload a photo and read all those great stories about all those young graduates around San Antonio. Well, the NBA, the Board of Governors is going to gather together on Friday, though I'm not sure we're going to hear anything Friday regarding the NBA's plan to come back. But there are still, while there are plans and some ideas as to how they will do it, how they will play, when they are going to play, we don't know. And how they're ever going to finally get everybody together to play, we've got some ideas, though we haven't heard. We also hadn't heard from Doris Burke in a long time. It seems like months, and it has been. Well, she joined Mike Greenberg this morning on the pretext of what Dalla Dame had to say yesterday. Now, Dame Lillard was quoted as such, and then we're going to hear from him right now regarding what actually was said. So let's hear from Dame, and then we'll get into what Doris had to say about the NBA coming back.
I felt like the way the story was written, it was taken out of context because it was a casual conversation. And it was like expletive this, expletive that, but it wasn't a demonstrative statement. I was just saying, we've been off for 2 months, and if we come back, we want to play for something. You know what I mean? So After this type of break, usually when you come back, especially with how fast we're going to be jumping into playing, I think guys are at risk for injury, also at risk of, being exposed to whatever, because, none of us have been around each other if so many teams are going to be in one spot. So there's so many things out there that, we could be at risk of. So, if we're going to do it, obviously as players, we want to play, but we want to play for something, especially if we were in position to play for that in the first place.
Dollar Dame earlier on Jalen and Jacoby discussing, he had been quoted as saying, I don't want to come back if I'm not going to the playoffs. What's the point? I'm here to play, and if we're going to play for the playoffs, let's talk. But if that's not going to be the case, what is even the reason to get back together? And, I think most people agree with that. Now, we do expect the NBA to offer something that might be very much akin to what the NHL has done, an expanded playoff format where essentially those teams that were on the bubble might be invited anyway and just be considered in the playoffs. Now, there's other questions to have answered if that's going to be the case, because how are we going to figure out the lottery? That will be on the back of my mind, because that's what I've been aiming at as a Spurs fan. I didn't expect to be in the playoffs. I didn't want them to be in the playoffs. And whether a coronavirus pandemic or not, I want to be in the lottery next year. I feel like we've earned that in a very difficult stretch of losing.
I don't think you've earned it, or you would have lost way better than you did.
We were just getting started. That's what everybody says. Well, if you really were tanking, you would have been, hey, we had a couple of weeks to go. This plan was just starting to gather momentum. We were going to have an outbreak of plantar fasciitis and sore backs over the next couple of weeks. We're going to try out the G Leaguers, except the good ones aren't going to play. And we're going to figure out what the future was going to be. No, the idea of them coming back is certainly in debate. And Dame was taken out of context. I think every NBA player wants to play. It's just a matter of getting the plan down. Now, Doris Burke, who we last heard from the night that the basketball was canceled, as far as I'm concerned, did deal with some health stuff too, but is back and has some really some poignant thoughts on what she believes the NBA should do. And as the conscience of the NBA, it feels like Doris's thoughts might actually be wholesome water.
Listen, Greeny, from the moment talk of restarting this season began to up until yesterday, my thought has been, if the standard of safety is the first and primary thing, then it should be the 16 teams that have earned their way through 75 to 80% of games played. I don't believe under any circumstance that we should be exposing more people than is necessary to this virus. The virus is not done with us yet. So I don't even like the idea. And listen, I say that knowing I had a conversation with Steph Curry, and very casually he said to me, I am trying to wrap my mind around the idea that I may not play NBA basketball until late 2020 or perhaps 2021. So the idea of not seeing Steph, of not seeing Damian, not seeing Trae Young. Yes, it's difficult for all of us, but let's keep the main thing. Let's establish a standard of safety, acknowledging some inherent risk, and let's get some resolution to the season.
Doris Burke earlier on Get Up with Mike Greenberg describing, you got to keep in mind the context that she speaks from. She had the coronavirus. She got sick. She had the symptoms. She wasn't just positive without any symptoms. She did, in fact, was ill. So she comes from the perspective of, oh, my goodness, I've had it. This is something that we need to consider. And if health is the primary determining factor here, which it should be, we say, then limit it to the players or the teams that made the playoffs, seed them at 16, and let's go to town, according to Doris Burke. And as an outsider looking in, it makes the most sense. As a guy who doesn't want the Spurs to go and blow their lottery, it makes even more sense. But let's parse it for that, because I think we're getting lost as the momentum toward opening up is gaining, that there's still the opportunity to get sick. The virus is no less deadly than it was a month ago. There's just less of it, but it's still out there. And as so many of us sit back there and try to figure out what our lives are going to be and how they're going to be lived, that concern maintains, especially those with young kids at home, with maybe they're living with their parents, as I am, on the same property, or you might have a pre-existing condition. Even though you're physically fit and an NBA athlete, you might have asthma. And if you get it, it could be worse, as we've been told. So I think there's legitimate concerns from individual players, and I do think that needs to be part of the equation. If there's a legitimate concern about coming back, I would be hard-pressed, I think, anyone. But as far as teams and guys that are ready to play and understand that you get paid when you play and you might not if you don't, Well, that's no different than the rest of the world. It's time to come back to work. Dan Orlovsky was also on with Greeny and Doris. His response is something that, man, just rings absolutely true to me, and I think so many of us feel the very same way.
If what we've experienced as a group of people over the last 3 months has taught us anything, that there is no such thing as meaningless anymore. Like, we can't take things for granted anymore. And there's a difference between have to and get to. And Dame Lillard would have the opportunity to get to play basketball again, because there's people out there that have to go do things. Frontline workers and nurses and doctors, they have to go to work, and they have to work more hours and get paid less because of what we're dealing with.
There's the difference between get to and have to. And there's the get tos and the have tos in every walk of life. There's the get tos and have tos. And I think so many players, and I think Major League Baseball primarily, by their attitude, by their responses, and it might be just a couple of those apples, they got a lot of have to when it's actually a get to. And once we kind of parse it in those terms, I think we can all understand where we're headed. If they're going to come back, there are certainly hurdles to be made. And I don't want health to be lost in the consideration, but it seems as a society that has become secondary. Doris Burke kind of brought us back.
Sure. I mean, health should be at the forefront, but at the same time, to act like that won't be when they're talking about bubbles and isolating them and their families by them, they're going to be more taken care of in this bubble than they would be in their own day-to-day lives in terms of testing and continuous testing and cleaning and just the ability to basically put these people and isolate them with their families to finish out this season. It would be more conducive and more safe than even their own life as they live, because Dame Lillard talked about it on Jalen Jacobin earlier about playing in a possible bubble and what it can mean, and talking about like how he goes to the store to have to buy things and he's more at risk there than probably he would be if the NBA were to return and put everybody in a bubble, because at that point he's not the one going to the store anymore.
On the most recent episode of Real Sports on HBO, they interviewed an American pitcher in the Korean baseball organization. I forget his name. But he spoke to the situation that they're in Korea. Certainly it's very different, but the idea is the same, that the Korean baseball teams have been quarantined, their temperatures checked on a regular basis, they're adjusting their daily just what they do. You know, we talked about speeding and high-fiving. He spoke to that on how it's difficult for everybody, but they are paying attention. And he said, I feel safer. I feel safer than the general public because there are so many people with a vested interest in my health maintaining. There's a lot of people that are coming back to work. There's TV production things that are going on. There's commercials being sold, and it's all relying on me playing, and they're making sure that I'm healthy. I think that's a legitimate concern that will be addressed for all the players that are coming back. Is it going to be foolproof? No. And it's unfortunate. And for those that do have to deal with those underlying conditions, I hope that as these negotiations go on, that there is a protective part for those folks that have a legitimate concern. Look, man, I just cannot afford to get this. And if I do, I'm not sure until we have some sort of therapy that I'm in a category that is considered troublesome. And that goes to coaches, those that are overage. That goes, if you have it founded, there's got to be a way to get out. And, for the general public, it is, well, you just don't work and you don't get paid. Well, maybe that's the same case with the professionals as well. If you can't do it, maybe it's time to sit back and find another line of work, because the life is going to go on. It's unfortunate, but it just feels like that's the way that we're headed. I
don't know if it has to go on, because if life ceases to exist in terms of like the life that we know, it's detrimental to society. It's detrimental to jobs. It's detrimental to people getting a chance to go back to work at some point. Like there are a lot of different things that this can affect if things don't at least return to some sense of normalcy.
Absolutely. The NFL is going to gather together as well as they look toward the season, and it's business as usual for the most part, as these guys already been to the training camp period. Rules are in effect. One of them might be a change into the onside kick. We'll talk about the amendment and whether we think it's going to pass. We should be hearing post-haste if it has. here on the Blitz. We'll be right back. 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
ESPN San Antonio's Dad's Distancing Dough, presented by Southern Recipe Small Batch. Enter to win now at ESPNSA.com and give Dad the best gift ever. A chance at $1,000, plus a year's supply of Southern Recipe Small Batch pork rinds.
You know, we're home more watching TV, movies, snacking. You can step up your snack game with the bold flavors of Southern Recipe Small Batch pork rinds. They are available at H-E-B. Low-carb, high-protein, bold flavors, the perfect snack. Southern Recipe Small Batch pork rinds come in great handcrafted flavors like Korean kimchi barbecue, pineapple, ancho, chili, spicy dill, and many other bold flavors. And if you're on the keto diet, these rinds are perfect for you. Now, while it is the great snack, it's not just for snacking. You can use Southern Recipe Small Batch pork rinds while cooking. Go to porkrindrecipes.com and make something big tonight. Award-winning chef Tim Byers and Southern Recipe Small Batch pork rinds have some great cooking videos. And every time you go watch or share their newest video, they'll donate $5 to Blessings in a Backpack. So go online for your coupon now for Southern Recipe Small Batch pork rinds at southernrecipesmallbatch.com. Get your favorite flavor right now at H-E-B, or you can buy online. Southern Recipe Small Batch. It's a different kind of rind.
I've always wanted to learn another language, but every time I try, it never sticks. So I decided to give Babbel a try, and I really like the teaching method of the app. I started with the beginner lesson on Babbel, and it starts with simple words and phrases. And soon, you're putting those words into a conversation. Each lesson takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and they're all really different, which keeps things interesting. The app is really smart. It actually keeps track of the words I'm struggling with, so I can practice them and get better. I chose Babbel because it was created by real language teachers. They built it around real life, how people actually communicate, and what they care about. I can't wait to use my new language skills in the real world. Dos cervezas, por favor.
With Babbel, get conversational in Spanish, French, German, and more. It just takes 10 to 15 minutes a day. Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com or download the Babbel app and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com, Babbel.com.
I saved big money with the Progressive Home and Auto Bundle, so I finally bought that new set of golf clubs. Watch out, Fairway. Here I come.
This is not a real testimonial. Sure, customers can save big with Progressive, but your other expenses won't just disappear. Are those clubs going to help you when the hot water heater dies? Also, it sounds like your money is better spent on golf lessons.
Time to go shoot the course record.
No, but maybe time for a reality check. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Whether you're working remotely, taking web classes, binge watching TV, or gaming, Dell is here to help you find the right tech. From XPS and Alienware computers that are redefining what's possible with 10th gen Intel Core processors to the latest top brand electronics, our seamless tech solutions will help keep you connected. Plus, get free shipping. Call us today at 800-BY-DELL. That's 800-BY-DELL.
You and almonds versus the nefarious headphone tangle. Suddenly the feeling strikes, the urge to groove and move. But those trusty earbuds are in the tangle of all tangles. You dive in, following the headphone jack into a white wire nightmare. But with a little finger gymnastics, all's right with the world. Woohoo! Also, your headphones are untangled. We're not saying it's thanks to the 6 grams of energy-giving protein in almonds, but we're not saying it's not either. California almonds. Own your everyday, every day.
At AutoZone, we've always been here to help you get what you need to go where you need. That hasn't changed. Needing some battery help? We've got you. Whether it's a free battery test or a free charge, we can help you get started again. And if it's time for a replacement, we've got a full selection of batteries starting at $79.99. That's why we're America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Based on data from the MPD Group Incorporated, Car Care Track, 12 months ending December 2019.
Watch them creep. Watch them creep. Watch them creep. Hip hop hits.
You do it like this.
It's the Blitz. You're on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM. Go to ESPNSA.com. You can watch us live. You can listen to us anywhere in the world. Our feed is there. I know we're having some iHeartRadio issues. Head over to our website if you're having trouble catching us there.
You done cleaning up?
For the most part. the got a little puppy running around. Puppies only rent their water. The NFL will gather on tomorrow, and they're going to start voting on the potential rules changes. Now, this comes on the heels of Troy Vincent, the NFL executive vice president, announcing earlier in the week that, well, the NFL had failed, in his words, miserably in the implementation of the PI replay last season. He said, this is a cautionary tale as we come into changing rules again, and the idea of a sky judge, still some sort of protection for pass interference. He said, while you can change a rule, you got to go to the nature of the league, and you can't suddenly just change things the way that is. I think that's a cop-out, but the NFL at least admitted that that was a problem. So they're not going to vote on the idea of the sky judge. That'll be tabled for the time being, but they are going to, it appears, vote on the implementation of a change in the onside kick rule, whereas a team twice a game, if they need to, can choose to get the ball on their own 25-yard line. It'd be 4th and 15, a first down. They keep it. They don't. The ball goes over. Now, the amendment was to make this a dead ball play, which makes perfect sense, because if Bill Belichick was there, he would onside kick it whether he wanted to or not, or needed to or not, just to run some clock. So I think they've eliminated that. I just can't imagine a possibility of this not passing. If the NFL is truly on the side of health, if they're truly on the side of CTE, whether they are or not, they can enact something that, at least in the short term, would add a little bit of interest to the NFL. Now, it could be like a lot of the NFL attempts. They try something for a year or two, like the pass interference replay. They find out for whatever reason it ain't working, whether we can do it or you guys don't like it. Same thing might apply here. But from our experience in the XFL and our experience in the Alliance League, this is something that I think the league is actually going to pass, and we'll see that tomorrow afternoon. Now, the idea of the sky judge, though, James, I still believe that the league is going to have to implement something. They can't just go back to where they were, because where they were brought us to where we are now. There's going to be mistakes, and we have to have some sort of overarching way to fix it. And I assume the sky judge is the latest and best alternative until the next one arises.
The sky judge just makes so much sense to have an extra official in the building with replay monitors all around and the ability to see things as they happen and make a call from a booth. And whether that's a command central back in the New York offices, or it's actually on the, at the game in a booth somewhere there, but just having the ability for another ref and another set of eyes. And it's not about backing up your guy, as we saw so much during the trying to overturn pass interference calls that obviously wasn't happening this year in the NFL.
Well, do you think, James, that that might need to be relieved of a referee's responsibility, or a former referee, that some other football type needs to be overseeing this? Because you're right, the rule proved to be completely inconsistently enforced. Coaches had no idea what to expect when they threw out that challenge flag, because one ref's going to back up his dude and one might not. But you didn't want to roll the dice in the middle of a game or late in a game, because it might actually turn out to be a loss, because one of the guys in stripes was going to take care of the other guy and would expect the same if the situation was reversed. And I think the only way you can eliminate that is having the sky judge not being an official referee, not even knowing these dudes, not being beholden to them, not expecting to see them out to dinner. It is an eye in the sky that is the overarching last backstop to fix a problem. Not every problem, but the ones that make it through every other one of the fail-safe mechanisms that have been put in place by the league.
The problem is the sky judge is an official. He has to be an official. Therefore, he has to be a ref of some sort. He had to go through the school. He had to go, he's going to know these people.
What, you can't go through that school? I'm talking about a sky judge not making calls, but righting an obvious wrong.
Yes.
I mean, that can be anybody. That could be you. I mean, we're talking about a guy going, okay, hit the red button. Did you see the dude knock him out of bounds? That's a penalty. You guys missed it. Go back and readdress this. That needs to remain. Now, the minutia of plays, no, my goodness. Yeah, that's not going to fix, because as long as referees, and as much as they'll say they're going to be honest about their calls, there's just an inherent belief that guy probably saw it better than I did. So let's not even worry about that. I think that you have to remove that from the situation, but we're talking on a very few number of calls.
Yeah.
The New Orleans St. Ram type stuff that really made it through, and everybody looked around and said, well, that's something needs to happen here. Well, there's a guy up there in the skybox, the sky judge, who is the last bastion of safety, going, all right, you guys are right. Stop the clock. Let's address this.
A clear and egregious miss. That's what you're looking for.
Yes, that's all we're asking.
Doesn't
we're not
matter
looking
if
for
it's
anything
pass
other than that.
interference or holding or a tripping call on a touchdown, but an egregious whiff by the officiating crew.
And one that understands that not every penalty affects the play. Sometimes there's something that gets missed. Well, that's part of the game. Did it affect the play? Did the guy run the complete other direction and there was nothing that could have been done, but there was still that? No, I don't care if it happened. That didn't affect the play, but it has to be somebody in a situation to say this wrong must be righted. And not every wrong must be righted, but every now and then those do occur. And it might be twice a year for all we know. But at least the mechanism needs to be in place. And I can't imagine it's not with that kind of floor. Now, there might be an elevated status for that sky judge as time goes on and we experience exactly the effect it can have. But for now, start with a minimum and add to it. It's very difficult to take it away. And the NFL admitted as much. Look, we tried to implement a rule that, quite frankly, the ideas from the referees just didn't harbor that. They didn't feel the same way, so it was never implemented effectively because it was so inconsistent. That can never be the case again, or you lose trust in the mechanism for forming the rules themselves.
Are you in any way surprised that the onside kick proposal is limited to twice a game and only during regulation?
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised to see it. I think it should be implemented much like a challenge. If you keep failing at it, what's the point? If you're trying something that's not working, but
the fails, the fails is own kind of way to keep it from happening, because if you fail, you're giving them the ball basically in the red zone almost.
Yeah, at some point, a team that's down by 21 is going to start to fall into a hurry-up offense. They're going to have to decide when that is, and it might actually be 21 points in the middle of the third. Like, look, we got to go ahead and do our best here, or we got so many touchdowns, there's not enough time unless we ask for the onside kick. I do have a concern. Let's say it works. So suddenly they're down by 14. It works again. Suddenly down by 7, and now I can't.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they're going to address that. But again, you can add to a lot easier than you can take away. If you accept so far, adding one more is a lot easier to do. 4th and 15 is too easy for a lot of good offenses, Ray. I completely agree with you. But
I feel
the
Patrick
idea
Mahomes has a big advantage.
I absolutely agree with you, but there's, and it's easy enough to get it done. But if it adds a little bit of excitement to the game, that's part of the, we've been told for years that the NFL is truly 3 phases, but the kickoff return is just about gone. So part of the phases of the game have disappeared. At least that'll give you the opportunity for that third phase that has been told to be equal to the rest of the phase to genuinely have an effect. So maybe it should be a little bit easier, Ray.
I mean, the kicking game is going away because it has to. If we're really concerned with player safety, that is just an inherently unsafe play. The only
kickoff,
fix,
absolutely.
the
Kickoff
only
and punts need
fix
to
to
go
that
away.
I can see would be what the XFL did with their kickoffs. That was very intriguing. The starting them
It's
like 10
gonna happen,
yards in
James.
front.
The idea of some facets of the game are destined to leave, but we're just not going to radically turn the battleship. So we've seen the slow progression, and eventually, yes, all of this will begin. The kickoff, the idea of a kickoff or a punt will be a thing of the past, because as it stands now, it is a punt and a catch. And every now and then you get a return, but the injury part of the game, that's where it has its greatest influence on those sprint plays where you get a good 10-yard head start to start running. That's when people get hurt. And the NFL can take away that as long as they add something of equal excitement that might not be the same excitement, but it adds a little bit of enough interest for us not to really remember what it was. And it's a slow process. This is the next step. The kickoff will eventually become this in some way or form, some form or fashion, like you said with the Alliance League, where you just got the ball and headed on out. What's the point? Let's get the ball in 35. Let's go. There's no point on waiting, and you have the opportunity to score now a little bit more often with the onside kick version of that. Lots of parts to the NFL. They're going to vote tomorrow. We'll make sure you're aware of it. We're going to come back and talk how an NBA ref will function when everybody can hear every word that's being said in an NBA broadcast. Scott Foster had some thoughts. We're going to hear from him. Hang around. You're on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
ESPN San Antonio's Dad's Distancing Dough, presented by Southern Recipe Small Batch. Enter to win now at ESPNSA.com and give Dad the best gift ever. The chance at $1,000 plus a year's supply of Southern Recipe Small Batch pork rinds. ESPN San Antonio's Dad's Distancing Dough. Online now at ESPNSA.com. Another way it pays to listen to ESPN San Antonio all day, every day.
Nobody beats the low prices at Mother's Window Tint, your car, stereo, and auto security headquarters. Nobody beats our prices on high-quality performance window tint and expert installation. It's essential to protect yourself and your family from the sun's hot rays and car thieves. Save $100 off regular winter prices when you purchase the Mother's Window Tint and Alarm package. This is a deal. Save $100 off our regular winter prices now at the start of summer. Limited to stock on hand. For 36 years, Mother's Window Tint, home of the Tint and Alarm Special. Want to make your car go thump, 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 mother thump. Premium car stereos on sale. Sony, Kicker, JVC, JBL, Diamond, Kenwood, Memphis Audio, all on sale. GPS, remote start systems, all on sale. Save $100 on the Mother's Window Tint and Alarm Special. Nobody beats the low prices at Mother's Window Tint, your car, stereo, and auto security headquarters. Mother's Window Tint, home of the Tint and Alarm Special. Remember, do it at Mother's and save.
Diamonds Direct celebrates the reopening of our local economy with our most amazing offer ever. 5 years, 0 interest financing with no money down on anything and everything. Yes! Now, for a limited time, Diamonds Direct is doing our part to help you get back to normal and celebrate your love like never before. Our prices and values are the best ever. Our showcases are fully stocked, and we're letting you buy now with nothing down, and you can spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Been putting off that engagement? Get her a $6,000 designer ring now and pay just $100 a month. Did you miss celebrating that anniversary? How about a $3,000 Diamond Eternity Band for just $50 a month? Summer is the season for love, and we're doing all we can to make this summer one to remember with exceptional values, extra selection, and the most exceptional finance opportunity. 5 years, 0 interest on approved credit. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
At the shops at La Cantera.
Strict attention to detail. That's what sets Kubota construction equipment apart. It's how we maximize performance, increase strength, and give you the dependability you demand. It's what makes Ewald Kubota a leader. Right now, get 0% financing and no payments for 90 days. Offer expires May 31st. Visit KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
We're working to keep you working. Visit our website at ewaldkubota.com. Ewald Kubota is your Kubota dealer.
Let's say you just bought a house. Bad news is, you're one step closer to becoming your parents. Soon you'll have a separate fridge in the basement where extra groceries are exiled forever. Remember that frozen lasagna? Of course you don't. It's been down there since 2008. Good news is, it's easy to bundle home and auto through Progressive and save on your car insurance. Piece of cake. Behind the lasagna, it's very old. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
At AutoZone, we've always been here to help you get what you need to go where you need. That hasn't changed. Needing some battery help? We've got you. Whether it's a free battery test or a free charge, we can help you get started again. And if it's time for a replacement, we've got a full selection of batteries starting at $79.99. That's why we're America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Based on data from the MPD Group Incorporated, Car Care Track, 12 months ending December 2019.
For everything Cowboys.
Touchdown Cowboys!
1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM, where the pros play. KCDC San Antonio. Jason Minnis, Rob Thompson, the Blitz.
It is the Blitz here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM on the go at ESPNSA.com. Go there and check us out live. Our YouTube channel available to you directly through the ESPNSA.com. That's also a fine place to be wherever you might be away from the San Antonio metro market. You can wave hello to James Pledger and his Jimi Hendrix Concert T. I'm Rob Thompson sitting on top of the hill. Jason Minnick's out today. He had a great opportunity, one of those last-minute deals that you can't say no to. So, of course, we said head on out there. It would be cool. They got invited to go check out the launch of the SpaceX rocket carrying the two astronauts up to the ISS. Unfortunately, after an early morning flight, and I'm sure lots of fun on the way to Orlando, the launch was scrubbed. They will launch attempt again on Saturday. So at some point, Minix will be on a jet back. We'll get a personal reply and story tomorrow as he'll be back in his comfortable kitchen after running off to Orlando to look at a flat bay area right there around Cape Canaveral. I got a chance, James, about...
I thought you called it something else earlier in the show.
Oh, it's Cape C to the
locals. Okay.
Yeah, Cape C. There's a bunch of capes out there, and that's Cape C.
That's Cape C.
That's where the launch is. Yeah, Cape C.
Because I want to know what the cool kids call it.
But it's Cape C. You know, you'd hang out like, what are you doing? I'm gonna go see the shuttle launch over down at Cape C tomorrow. You know, I'm gonna hang with the fam, chase some gators, and drink some White Lightning and alcohol, and and watch. I went and saw when I lived in Orlando back in from 08 to and about 4 straight years. That was the height of the building of the space station, and the shuttle was busy. It was going off every couple of months. I could literally hear the launch from my home, which I was in West Orlando, and I'm still probably 35 miles probably from the Cape, from Cape Canaveral. You could still hear it. I mean, literally hear it going off the ground. It is like nothing you've ever seen. And we went down to one of the launches, and you're still several miles away, but it is the earth moves. It is so tremendous a thing. It's certainly a bucket list kind of thing. And one of the things I noticed, as you know, this has now been privatized, I got to give some credit to the SpaceX dudes for the ones that designed the spacesuits. They're much modern, much more modern than the old NASA suits. It's like they're now driving like the Ferrari of spacesuits. It's slimlined, it's thinner. They got black boots that kind of highlight the uniform. Their helmet's smaller, a little bit more of a motorcycle, the kind that you would see in Battlestar Galactica. We finally reached what we thought we would reach. The white uniform is a lot like the Chicago Bulls warm-ups. They got the black underneath the arm and down the torso. It's a much more fashionable costume, I guess it would be your spacesuit, but it's modern and svelte.
Yeah, it's much. You're not poofy anymore.
I also appreciated.
I like the hints of black.
Yeah, they look good, man. It's a kind of action with style, kind of a GQ astronaut. I think we're all better off for it. Did you notice when they were going to their final, where they always put astronauts in a little bit of a quarantine before the blast off, and certainly I'm sure with COVID they've been under some kind of quarantine for months. But the last little drive from where they were to the actual launch pad was that white. What's the name of the car? What's his name? It's a Musk car. The
Teslas.
The Tesla, the white Tesla that was like one of those that drives itself. It felt perfect. Unfortunately, it was scrubbed. Jason Minix went down there. He missed it, but we're going to hear about the experience, I'm sure, tomorrow.
Were they going to get the car back from space?
No, that's gone. That's sojourning out into the stratospheres, man. It's headed toward Pluto, I think. Seriously, I think it. I hope they put a little a camera. I wonder where it is. The NBA is going to come back. We know that. It just seems like a matter of time. We're going to figure out. But we also know they're not going to play with any fans in the stands, at least as it gets started. The relationship between players and referees and coaches and referees and players and this kind of commingling of attitudes during a game is one that we can often see but not hear unless we get an NBA mic'd up kind of thing, or there's just an odd bit of silence and you were sitting really close to hear it. For those of you who've never heard what goes on a football field, and specifically a basketball field, as Scott Foster is talking, basketball court, it is not always the most pleasant conversation, and it might be an opportunity, a good thing for some fans to hear some things that they're not, but also might not be the best thing for everybody to hear. This is what Scott Foster has to say about reffing in a quiet environment.
Don't know who to be more worried for, the players or the referees at this point. I know I don't want everything that we normally say to each other going out, but normally we're all in a professional manner out there. But it is going to be different. There's going to be some assistant coaches that we haven't really heard from before sitting in the second row that we'll be able to hear now. So, there's going to be some adjustment there. And then I think, we're going to need to really, talk about and analyze what is, okay for the public to hear and how we're going to go about our business. But it's definitely going to be a different thing. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really unique experience for the players, referees, coaches, everybody that's going to go through this.
A unique experience, to be sure.
Why does NBA TV feel the need to put music under live interviews?
Whoever's programming that, it's got a radio background. It was a little bit over the top, but I think I'm always for a little bit of low bump music, a little bit of underneath stuff. But I appreciated what he had to say. Now, let me give you guys a scenario.
Okay.
We're watching the Spurs play as they come back in this expanded playoff format. It is a deathly quiet gym, and somebody reaches in
to go to the postseason.
Well, I think it's a foregone conclusion. But let's just say they're playing their game. Something happens, and out of the background, you hear a voice that vaguely is in the memory of Tim Duncan. You think that might be Tim Duncan screaming expletives at that idiotic ref because he missed that.
Is Joey Crawford reffing?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's Scott Foster or anybody else. It will be a unique environment. And then most coaches don't speak in the kindest of terms to referees.
Haven't you always wondered what Pop says to get thrown out of games?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of this you can kind of relive.
Chance.
Well, yeah. I think that The Last Dance and now the documentary, the series that is going to be running, where the ESPN is now broadcasting the adult version on ESPN and the Walmart edited version onto the ESPN2. So you can pick your level of comfort. I think the ESPN is preparing us for what's coming. I honestly believe that I think that the idea of cussing on in sports is just part and parcel. We accept that, but we're not used to it on a very regular basis. And with all those parabolic mics and all the different positions that we're going to have without fans in the background, we're going to hear what's really going on. We're going to hear in the trenches and in the scrum exactly what players are saying to each other. It's funny, it's part of life, but it's not what a lot of people are accustomed to.
For you as a basketball fan, a person who will sit in an AAU gym for 8 hours and watch a team
and scream those things that I want parents to hear.
Exactly. And not even your kids are playing. You're just at a gym watching hoops. As a fan of the sport in that context, which would you prefer? To be able to hear what's actually going on between the players, the refs, and the coaches, or fake pumped in crowd noise?
I'll be honest with you. The refs fall into three categories. There's the coaches. There's the silent coach that never talks to a ref. Not once. I'm not going to give you the time of the day because at the end of the day, this coach understands that very little I'm going to say or do is going to affect what you do. It's just not, it's pointless. And then there's the ref that is going to hang on every call, that no call ever goes his way and is always upset because the weight against him will slowly lessen. So when it comes for a time you have to have the call, you'll get that call. And then there is the screamer, the screaming coach that is screaming at everybody around him, whether it be his players, whether it be the ref. Some coaches are always talking, and we're going to get a taste of all three of those different flavors of coaches, that the ones that never shut up, that are yelling at everybody, setting up the defense, setting up the offense, telling who's open. You'll have the other coaches that never say a word. You're going to go, well, what's he even doing? Is he even coaching? All he does is whisper over to his players, call timeouts, and talk to them then. And then you got the guys in between. We're going to learn a lot about coaches. We're going to learn not only about the players that always look like they're upset with a call, like Tim Duncan, but there's a lot of guys who never even offer that. You're going to start hearing and go, that guy whines all the time. That's what we can expect. I don't have the call screen in front of me, James. We got some
John, line one.
Let's hit it. John, welcome aboard the Blitz. And if you want to jump on the Kielbasa Bacon Fine line, 656-3776, 656-ESPN. John, welcome aboard. Thanks for calling.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Kind of wanted to chime in on what you're talking about. You know, we're gonna hear things that we've probably never heard before, and you kind of wonder if they're gonna put some kind of disclaimer or something, before the games begin about just keep caution, like a TVMA kind of thing, because you're going to hear lots of vulgarity, vulgar language is going to slip out because it's just something they're normal to do. So I didn't know, Don? Do you think because it's going to be more obvious, do you think they'll be forced to put some kind of TVMA thing?
No.
I was just curious.
No, I don't. No, John, the reason I don't think so is I think that the norm has changed because, case in point, the NASCAR race over the weekend, the driver who was knocked off the race stands on the side of the racetrack itself and flips off everybody that drives by. Now, there's nobody in the stands, but everybody that's there, he is flipping off. Well, ESPN shows it. They might blur out the middle finger, but it is very obvious what's going on, and we chuckle. Also, when we watch basketball games or football games, and you hear in the background after a controversial call, a detrimental saying about the coach, or this guy sucks, or this call is BS, and we hear the literal BS, we all just kind of chuckle underneath because we know that is going on in the stands. But the broadcast has always done their very best to hide that. But they've also been the first to show, can you read lips? Did you see what he said there? Kind of stuff. So I think we are accustomed to it. We're prepared for it, but it's going to be unlike we've ever dealt with before if we don't have any piped in noise. And I still believe that we're going to watch a couple of games and there's going to be 50% of us go, it's fine. I don't mind this at all. I like it. And there's going to be 50% that go, man, I'd really like to have some background because I need some context. And the peripheral fans need context, audio context, the crowd roaring to give you an idea something's happening. If you're not watching the television, you can have your head down and playing Candy Crush and you might have the game on. You hear a roar, you look up. Well, if you're playing Candy Crush now, there is no roar up but for the call of the game itself. The peripheral fan, the young fan, needs a little bit of context to explain if the play-by-play guy can't translate that. And it's very difficult if they're not riding the wave of crowd sentiment. So all of this is going to change. We'll adjust to it, but it'll feel very different and also a little bit awkward when you're watching the game with your grandmother and your all's favorite player who's just a dreamy young man. And, oh, what a fine citizen he is. And he unleashes a line of expletives versus the ref or another player. And you go, oh, well, that's the real world. This is what these guys are like.
Now, NBA arenas currently, there's all types of ambient noise, whether it's the Go Spurs Go drum pounding, or you hear them play music like as they're bringing the ball across court. Like you hear different things from the stadium PA operators in terms of music and noise and ambience. Will that carry over, do you think, to these broadcasts to where you'll just be more the music that you hear will be more audio?
I think it's that's a great question. It's something I hadn't considered. The countdown music, the ticking music, the hype music to get you going. I think that'll remain. I think that will be part of it because it's kind of like, when you watch a boxing match and if you're paying really close attention, there are certain trainers that will have something that'll clap when there's a minute left in a round or 30 seconds in a round where it's time to go do something. Well, sometimes to basketball players and to football players as well, it's time to do something. It's 3rd and 10 and there's whatever time left. But sometimes that music is a little bit more of that sensory thing that you need to get you going. It doesn't have to just be the crowd. It is also the music. I think that'll be part of it. I do think there'll be a ringside announcer announcing who's in and who's out. It'll help to, again, maintain it. I just have a feeling after this is all said and done that they're going to come up with a hybrid version of crowd noise because its effect on just watching it at home, it's going to feel very, very sterile to the extent that you can't just stare at the TV all the time, and you have to rely on your play-by-play guy and your color guy to offer you the idea that this is important, you need to be watching, because no one just stares at a TV nonstop. In the social media world, you're typing, and sometimes you look up and you miss it, or you hear the crowd jump up, and it's your cue to pay attention. And if that's the only avenue we have, you can't actually go to the games. I think they're going to have to give us some sort of verbal cue, some sort of audio thing to let us know the excitement level that we should be sitting at, whether we are or not, considering the down distance time and all of that goes along with it. Very interesting to think about all the peripheral sides of the quarantine life in football. When we come back, we're not even sure whether baseball is going to play. They keep headed in that direction, but we want to talk about amicable beginnings. They don't got it. Sounds like the NHL kind of got it nailed down, and everybody's sitting and waiting to see what's going to happen with Major League Baseball, who's in a chase to be number one back. But the players are not down with getting paid, and it looks like that number has continued to drop as the owners have offered them and yet another pay scale that doesn't help the players in the pay side. We'll talk about it next here on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
There's only one way to do Saturdays with the Saturday Morning Hangover with RJ Ochoa and James Fletcher. Getting you ready for all the weekend's games and then some. Saturday mornings 9 to 11, 1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM.
You know, in San Antonio, we have some of the hardest water in the country. Having a water softener is not a luxury item. It is a necessity, and I highly recommend calling Alamo Water Softeners. That's where I got my water softener. We love it. They're a great locally owned, family-run business by the Townsends, and, you know, they love supporting our San Antonio community. In the month of May, Alamo Water Softeners, they're honoring frontline heroes with a major discount on a new water softener. It's their way of saying thank you. So if you are any business, anybody that works in a business that's considered frontlines, call Alamo Water Softeners at 210-274-6122 and ask about that Frontline Heroes discount. At Alamo Water Softeners, they offer high-quality, low-cost, low-maintenance water softeners for your home. Have a well? No problem. They can help. If you're renting, no problem. You can even rent an Alamo Water Softener. But when you call 210-274-6122 and mention my name, Jason Minix, you'll receive free basic installation. You'll also get a free reverse osmosis drinking water system with the purchase of select new Alamo Water Softeners. And don't forget to ask about that Frontline Heroes discount. Remember the Alamo Water Softeners, 274-6122 or alamowatersofteners.com.
At Advance Auto Parts, we want to make sure your vehicle is ready to roll when you are. We have the right oil and filters at the right price every day, from brands like Pennzoil, Mobil 1, Valvoline, and Castrol. And if you make a qualifying Pennzoil purchase this month, you'll get Gum Out Regain Fuel Injector Cleaner for free. Also, visit AdvanceAutoParts.com and tell us about a hero in your community. You could each win $1,000. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.375%, APR 3.59%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
It is the Blitz here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, on the go at ESPNSA.com. Blitz is brought to you by the Thompson Law Firm. If you are dealing with an insurance company, if you have been in a car collision and you have not got an attorney, I guarantee you the opposing insurance company already has their lawyers working on it. If you don't have an attorney representing you, you will not get all the money that you deserve. Call one that will fight for you. I can speak from personal experience. My brother, the best attorney I have known or been grown up with.
Fights with you, too.
Yeah, he's a good dude. 210-900-0400. Again, that's 210-900-0400. Go to alawyer4us.com. Hire a bulldog. Make sure you're represented by the very best. The Major League Baseball is in a pickle. And, you know, no one is surprised. We knew that baseball is unique in the sports and that the players have consistently maintained control of how much they can get paid by avoiding a salary cap. And the owners, you know, they've made a fair amount of money, too. We know that the debate is worthy because the players aren't going to get paid what their contract says. And there's a lot of adjustments that are going to have to be made by both sides. The Major League Baseball owners have offered a sliding scale pay system that would help to get the baseball back on the field. But the salary cuts are going to be immense for those that are making lots of money. You know, the initial idea was they're going to prorate by the number of games they're going to play. But the baseball business model has changed, and owners are coming to the players today with an alternate at plans saying, look, even if we're playing fewer games, there's nobody in stands. I'm not sure we're going to, the revenue is not going to be there. We're going to have to affect your pay even more. And they did their very best to help the poorer players. Less of a percentage is gone. And I say poorer players, the league minimum is $563,000, $501. I'm sorry.
Can they even live on that, Rob?
Well, it will be. They're going to get paid about 72% of it. They're going to end up making about $250,000 thereabouts. And that's what I think is going to be the problem. On just general stance, if you take away the dollar amounts, if you don't talk dollars, but you just talk the politics of baseball and the function of the union and the owners, I think every one of us understand why the players are saying what they're saying. That the owners are probably keeping a little bit much, and this might be the very first offer. And yes, we're willing to take a little bit less. We understand it's going to be prorated, but now you want even less off of that. I understand the argument on its face, and in a court of law, that's all that would matter. It's the dollar values don't matter. But in the court of public opinion, when you've got a guy that was going to make $20 million still come home with nearly $6 after, it's hard for us to comprehend the problem, because most of us wake up every morning and go to work. Most of us are going to work under circumstances where our pay has been diminished, has been cut. But I'll tell you what, it's better than getting furloughed, as most of us, and I'm included in this, where my pay has been decreased. But you know what? I'm happy to have a job. I want to, but I also get to do what I do. Now, you wonder about baseball players want to and get to. We look at baseball players like, you get to go play baseball for $6 million or at the bare minimum $200,000. Shut up and go to work.
And
you get to do that.
This is the same sliding pay scale that the owners have done with their top front office execs. Like the people working within the constructs of the teams have had to take these sliding pay scales to where the higher end execs are giving up more money than the person answering the desk phone at the secretary. They're all taking less, but the ones making more are having to give up more too.
By its very nature, you lose 10% of $1 million. It's a whole lot of more than 10% of 100,000. You are going to give up money, whether the percentages are the same. The idea of I'm not supporting the owners here. I don't trust the owners one lick. I don't trust the numbers they're telling me. I don't trust what they're saying until it is on paper, notarized, promised, and guaranteed. So I understand the players union going, we've dealt with you before. This isn't just because coronavirus, you guys suddenly got altruistic and you give us every possible dime and it's going to be a fair and equitable split. No, I don't trust that one lick. But the players have to be very careful about tweeting on, well, I guess there's going to be no season. If I'm only going to make $6 million, I guess we're not going to do it. You can't do that. And that's the first thing that the Players Association has to do. And they've done a pretty decent job about it. Your top name guys that are supposed to make a lot of money that are, kind of bustling against this, that are bristling against the idea of coming back to play for less money, shut them up. Just it is a flat out radio embargo. You guys don't say anything. And if you don't, you'll end up with more than you're going to get if you do. Because fan sentiment will be such that, screw these guys. And I'll tell you what, not only those guys, I'm not even going to frequent the manufacturer that advertises for him. I'm not. If you will get in bed with a guy that's going to complain about $6 million a year and you're going to fund them by advertising there, I'm not going to frequent you either, because I got up and went to work today for a whole lot less. I didn't have that choice. That is what baseball is, or at least the players are risking as they continue to bristle against the idea of the sliding scale. I'm not saying it's dead, but it's not a good first look. And we knew it was coming. We just didn't think it would be so vociferous so quickly.
And they're wrestling against it, but you have to also take into account any opportunity outside of the TV revenues are gone for owners. They're not making anything at concessions. They're not going to make anything at the gate. They're not going to make anything at parking. They're not going to make as much in merchandise, especially selling things at the game. And they're just losing. I imagine they're going to lose a lot of ad sponsors too, just because people aren't going to be advertising as much just because of the current climate of what we're in.
It's true. All you're saying is true. But my retort to that is, if I'm the players, I don't talk about my money. I talk about your money. And I go, all right, how much money did you make last year as a franchise? In fact, how much money have you made over the last decade? I'll bet it's nearing $1 billion. I think you got some money in the bank. I think you can part with a little bit of cash in the bank to get this thing going. I'm going to part with a little bit. You're going to part with a little bit. In fact, you might have to part with a little bit more because it is the very franchise that you own. You took on this risk when you bought the franchise. The only risk I have is the contract I signed. So that's the retort from players. Don't come out and say, well, it's only this in the sliding scale. You come back and go to the owner and say, how much have you made? How much is in the account? How much do you have in a rainy day fund stashed somewhere for the entirety of the league? The money's there. Pay us. But they're not doing it that way.
But as the owner, you have to say, yes, I'm taking all of this risk on. So you can either make money and play or not play and not make money. There's really two options.
And that's where the players sit today.
The owners are billionaires even without the franchise.
And that's why the players should not talk about their money. You don't talk about your money. You talk about their money because their money is their money to everybody. Your money is only your money. And it doesn't prolong or enhance your argument because it's a non-starter for 99% of the country that look at $1 million or $250,000 a year and go, man, that's a dream. And that's something you refuse to come up with. And the alternative is what? You don't play it on, get nothing? Sounds to me like a pretty good deal no matter what happens. And you get to go live in Disney. Now, there is, or wherever the cities might be, and this is something that's worthy of conversation. We're going to talk about that too. Now, once the teams do come back, now we start to get to the hierarchy of teams and players, because if the NBA is going to play at ESPN Disney, which is its own little resort, and if they're going to try to campus this idea and keep all the players and the franchises all as close in proximity as possible, not everybody gets the NBA level suites. There's some down market hotels there too for the general public that can't afford all of that. Who gets those hotels? Let's talk about the hierarchy of the leagues coming up next. Hang around with us. You're on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com. You know, it's Thursday afternoon. It's a nice breezy day. Wouldn't it be great to be outside working out, taking a long walk? Well, if you don't feel healthy enough to do that, if you're so overweight or overweight enough to where your joints are sore, you get out of breath, your heart starts beating, you can't handle the heat, you're pre-diabetic, so you probably ate a little bit too much and you're probably sweating on. It's hard to go out and do some healthy stuff. It's hard to go do the fun stuff. Well, guess what? I used to be like that. Back last September, I decided enough was enough. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. It was time to live a healthier lifestyle. And I'll tell you what, the best thing I ever did was meet up with Dr. Torres down at the Institute for Functional Health, because he explained to me exactly what I needed to do. And he gave me a game plan that was made specifically for me. You know, if you're trying to get on some sort of weight loss program that involves a one-size-fits-all, here, do this, and you will lose the weight. Yeah, you might drop a few pounds, but they're coming back. You can't continue it. How about forming a lifestyle that you will live with from now on, that will not only reduce your weight, but fix all those numbers that so much a part of our lives as we start getting a little overweight. Those numbers that tell us that our blood pressure is too high. Maybe those numbers that tell us our triglycerides are too high. Maybe those numbers that are telling us our blood sugar is too high. Or dealing to near diabetes. If those are a problem, you know, losing weight can help fix that, along with a variety of other things. How about your quality of sleep? You lose weight, you don't snore as much, you get a fuller night's sleep, and all the things that go along with a fuller and healthier life. Yes, that can all be yours, but you got to change your lifestyle. I'm going to tell you something. This isn't the easiest thing I've ever done, but I'll tell you what, if it was easy, would it really be worthwhile? The good stuff always is a little bit more difficult. Call the Institute for Functional Health. Find out what I know, that you can feel better, you can lose weight in a very, very short amount of time. They are open right now. They're certainly following all of the protocols. Go check out their website, the instituteforfunctionalhealth.com. I'll tell you what, do the best thing you can for yourself. Go to the Institute for Functional Health. Start getting on that weight loss program. Before you know it, you're going to have a bathing suit body ready for the beaches when we all head back. Call the Institute for Functional Health right now, and I know one thing for sure. You're going to thank me later.
If you don't listen to Will Kane, you might develop erectile dysfunction. Not medically proven, but totally not worth the risk, right? Will Kane, weekdays at 2, 1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM. All day, every day.
This ESPN San Antonio Sports Center update is brought to you by Alamo Water Softeners, 274-6122. I'm James Pudgeon in Major League Baseball news. The league's return to plays hit a little bit of a bump in the road as ESPN's Jeff Passan reports the league has proposed cutting the salaries of the highest paid players on a sliding scale, with the lowest paid players taking lesser cuts from the full prorated shares in their first economic proposal to the Major League Baseball Players Association. The Athletic reports that the Players Association is very disappointed with Major League Baseball's economic proposal, calling the additional proposed cuts massive. In college basketball news, the Texas Tech Red Raiders are killing it both in the recruiting and transfer markets. They landed transfer forward Mac McClung as the Georgetown guard picked the Red Raiders over BYU, Auburn, Arkansas, Memphis, USC, and Wake Forest. McClung averaged almost 16 points a game last season for the Hoyas. Tech's backcourt could be very scary next year as McClung will be eligible along with Wichita State transfer guard Jamarius Burton for the 2021-22 season after sitting out the upcoming year. Texas Tech is also in the top 5 of the number 1 ranked recruit in the 2021 class, 5-star small forward Jonathan Kuminga. He's reportedly also considering Duke, Kentucky, Auburn, and the NBA G League, and he's also reportedly considering reclassifying from 2021 to the 2020 class. I'm James Pledger for ESPN San Antonio.
Joel, I picked up one of those smart devices.
Hello, Nigel. How can I help you?
Great. I can hardly contain myself. I know, right? Allow me to demonstrate. Greta, who's the number 1 company for plumbing and AC repairs?
Quarter Moon.
Not bad. Oh, I'm just warming up. Greta, who's the coolest plumber in San Antonio? Watch this.
Joel Frederick.
That's nice. Wait. Must be a glitch. Greta, who's the most handsome?
Joel Frederick.
No, intelligent.
Joel Frederick.
Folks, don't let all the noise about the latest and greatest gadgets and gimmicks overwhelm your home. At Quarter Moon, we keep things simple. We fix plumbing and AC problems. From the outhouse to the penthouse, we can plumb it, we can cool it, and we can heat it. Just call 651-5899. Greta, tell me something encouraging.
Nigel, when in doubt, be like Joel.
License number M13229 TACLA 000743445E.
Diamonds Direct celebrates the reopening of our local economy with our most amazing offer ever. 5 years, 0 interest financing with no money down on anything and everything. Yes! Now, for a limited time, Diamonds Direct is doing our part to help you get back to normal and celebrate your love like never before. Our prices and values are the best ever. Our showcases are fully stocked, and we're letting you buy now with nothing down, and you can spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Been putting off that engagement? Get her a $6,000 designer ring now and pay just $100 a month. Did you miss celebrating that anniversary? How about a $3,000 Diamond Eternity band for just $50 a month? Summer is the season for love, and we're doing all we can to make this summer one to remember with exceptional values, extra selection, and the most exceptional finance opportunity. 5 years, 0 interest on approved credit. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
At the shops at La Cantera.
America is a great big country filled with all kinds of different people.
And we all count.
That's why the 2020 census
wants to make sure we're all counted.
Why is it so important?
Because the census helps inform how hundreds of billions of dollars will be spent each year for things like
new roads, health clinics,
even more school programs.
So make sure you're counted.
Because you count.
Shape your future. Start here. Complete the census at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
With all the overtime our appliances have been taking on these last several weeks, it wouldn't be shocking if one called it quits. Silver lining? Maybe you wanted a new one anyway. Lowe's has you covered, with 12-month special financing to help with the unexpected, and up to 40% off select appliances, including the best brands to fit your style and budget. Plus, we'll even deliver for free. Download our app or shop Lowe's.com today. Offers valid through 6/3. Free local delivery and credit applies to appliances $299 or more. Subject to credit approval. Exclusions apply. U.S. only.
It is the Blitz. Here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM on the go at ESPNSA.com. Dad's Day is June the 21st. We're under a month. The clock is ticking. We have the best possible gift. You got some green for the wallet and some wonderful pork rinds for the belly for an entire year. Our Dad's social distancing dough. Easy contest. Go to ESPNSA.com. Click on the icon there under the contest page and just upload your email address. That's all it takes. And you very well could win $1,000 for Danny. and a year's supply of the very best pork rinds. And I'm telling you honestly, I've ever had Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds.
Like, do they know how much I can put down?
Well, they're going to bring you enough. Trust me. I've been the recipient of a fair amount of those Southern Recipe small batch. I'm a huge fan of the cracked pepper one. Sea salt and black pepper, spectacular.
Yeah.
Kimchi is great, and they've got a variety of flavors. They fry it in the very best oil. It is light, it is crunchy, it is perfect, and you could win it for Papa. Just go to ESPNSA.com and get yourself registered, and you could win $1,000 and a year's supply of pork rinds, which is actually just actually kind of getting me hungry. If you're wondering where Jason Minix is, my co-host, he is taking the day. He had an opportunity. It just kind of fell out of the sky. He called me last night about 8 o'clock, said, "Hey, man, I got an opportunity. Is it a big deal if I go?" And I'm like, dude, got to go. He got kind of a behind-the-scenes trip out to the launch site there in Cape Canaveral, flew out there this morning on a private plane, got to go watch it in a pretty close proximity, close to the water, to watch the rocket take off. And just beforehand, about 40 minutes before launch, they scrubbed it. There was bad weather in the vicinity, so Minix is on his way home. Got a little day trip to the greater Orlando area. Got to see the swamps around Cape C, but no blast off, as they're going to try again on Saturday.
I like that. Cape C, it just sounds so cool.
And so, the locals. That's a thing. Most of the locals are kind of leathery faced, 70-year-old East Coast transplants that moved down to Orlando. For those who are unaware, I spent some time down in Orlando working for EA Sports there about 6-7 years ago. Yeah, they're a different breed around the Canaveral area, but it's unfortunate it didn't go off, because it is truly one of those bucket list kind of things. We were talking about Major League Baseball and just the general, pay me or I ain't playing kind of attitude. That is what we're seeing today. But yeah, I think the general belief is that they're going to come to an agreement, that the messiness is, what's the line from The Godfather? Every now and then you got to go to the mattresses. You're going to have to swing it a little bit. You're going to have to fight to make up. And before you can make up, you're going to have to throw a couple of haymakers. And they're fighting right now, but I do think the greater good will come out and they're going to play. But as they continue, you look to the other leagues that are going to kind of foster you. We've seen a minor league baseball franchise in Korea, and I say minor, it is professional league at the highest level that Asia has to offer, apart from the Japanese league, where our Americans are playing, and then they've figured it out. They've gotten the league going. There's been 0 tests positive. They have plans in place, and it's working. If baseball continues to have this trouble, we don't have that avenue. We don't have other than Korea. We're not going to have minor leagues come out and play if Major League Baseball doesn't play. You wonder, as basketball is trying to find a way, and players are certainly going to have to start discussing how they're going to get paid and when they're going to get paid. That's going to be a discussion that I don't think will be quite as rancorous as Major League Baseball. If baseball doesn't need something like the basketball tournament, and for those of you that haven't really followed the basketball tournament, or TBT as it's got its logo, it is a summer competition that began 5-6 years ago, where it was essentially middling pros that are playing in Europe and playing around the world gathering together to play for $1 million purse, winner take all. The teams were formed on their own. They could divvy up the shares of the $1 million as they saw fit. They could hire the coaches they wanted. Some teams were formed around the universities they played for. Notre Dame actually won it a couple years back. Others were formed from international areas. There was an international squad that won it for a couple of years. Truest grassroots basketball that, while now being played for $3 million, it is a pretty big paycheck. There is no guarantee. These guys come from around the world to come and play, form their teams on the hopes that they actually win a championship. That's the only way they get paid. They are truly playing not only for the paycheck, but for the love of the game and the high competition. That's what basketball is. Baseball doesn't have that. Maybe baseball needs that. Maybe baseball needs, if they can't come together, maybe those guys that get disenfranchised, those guys that are playing around the world, whether it be in Japan and all, we know the Japanese league is going to come back. But those that are around the world, maybe we form some kind of baseball league where they play a round robin tournament just like TBT. It is a bunch of guys we vaguely remember from times of yore, but play good baseball. It might be worthy to find some people that will play because they get to, not because they want to. And I think that's become the argument now as we watch the professionals play. Most of us don't get to. We have to. Most of us have to get up and go to work. We don't got enough money in the bank. We can't live off what we have made over the last year. We have to get up. professional athletes that have been paid millions get to go play a sport. And I think a lot of the types like that are starting to forget where they are, and they don't understand how much of a blessing to get to is. Dan Orlovsky, I don't want to take any credit for this. James, I want you to pull up what Dan Orlovsky had to say earlier today in the idea of those players that might not necessarily want to come back for a variety of reasons apart from health. We might need to remember that they get to, and so many of us have to.
If what we've experienced as a group of people over the last 3 months has taught us anything, that there is no such thing as meaningless anymore. Like, we can't take things for granted anymore. And there's a difference between have to and get to. And Dame Lillard would have the opportunity to get to play basketball again, because there's people out there that have to go do things. Frontline workers and nurses and doctors, they have to go to work, and they have to work more hours and get paid less because of what we're dealing with. I struggle with sitting here and going, you don't come off as a in some way, a spoiled and entitled brat by saying, I'm not going to play.
Now, there's certainly more to that conversation, and there's certainly some depth. And first and foremost, while he referenced Dame Lillard, and in the broadest sense, he's correct in referencing him, but the specific reason why he brought up Dame Lillard is he was actually misquoted, and has come out since today on Jalen and Jacoby saying, it wasn't about me not wanting to come back if there were no playoffs. It would seem almost pointless if I did, but I'm willing to come back and play. I want to play, and the idea of me not playing is so completely foreign to me. That was fixed, but the idea that there are some players out there, and it seems to be coming from mostly from baseball, though, deep in your heart, there are some NBA players that don't remember that it is a get-to kind of scenario for these folks, and they get to do something extraordinary where so many of us have to wake up and do the day-to-days, and we have no choice. You do, man. You don't have to come back and play. But just like us, if you don't come back and play, you void a contract, and then you don't get to come back ever.
And I think one thing that gets lost throughout all of this is the importance that sports has in terms of not having a really normal life right now. So having something to kind of inject, and just whether it's people that have lost their jobs or sitting on unemployment, or, having trouble with their unemployment, or trying to find a job, or graduating from school, looking to get into the job market during this pandemic when all seems lost. Sports gives us a release and an ability as a culture to forget thinking about the normal day-to-day tasks and worries of life, and let us kind of have some semblance of just an ability to unplug and give us something to find a commonality with.
Yeah, and I think that it appears it's mostly Major League Baseball, though I don't want to group them the only ones in. They're just the most vocal, as it's just really come down to how we going to get paid, and they're the first ones really to have to deal with this. The NBA has certainly made steps, and they don't sound quite as what was the term I heard, spoiled brat? I wouldn't go that far, because there is some substance to their argument. But you're right. I don't think a lot of the players really understand their place in society. And because we hold them in such high esteem, we're willing to look past just the ridiculous amounts of money that they make for just playing a game. We understand that there is a contract. You get to live this fabulous life, but you have to be available to me when I want to watch you. And if you fail on that contract, then the contract is void, and I'm not going to pay you. I'm not going to frequent you, or I'm not going to frequent the team, or I'm not going to frequent the products that want to promote you. And I think when this is said and done, once we do get through this and return to whatever normal is, we will look at sports in an entirely different way. And I think athletes will begin to look at themselves as they're not essential, but they're as close to essential as a society can put something. There is a definite loss when you're not available. There are some things that aren't essential, that are part of our society, that are probably never going to come back, because we're going to look back on it and go, well, that we didn't really even need that. But I think most of us realize that we need the sports, not just for the competition side, which so many of us do, but it's just such an important economic driver, and every bit of our society is touched in one way or another by it. And we're figuring out its place. And I think in some points of view, it's going to be lessened. There's no question that there are people over the last 2 months that might have been so absolutely involved in sports that it was to the loss of other things, and they've discovered those other things, and it might not ever hold its same place. But there's a lot of us that now realize that sports in its broadest sense is who we have been our entire lives. It's our first memory with our fathers. It is that kind of thing that while the game isn't there, its essence is gone as well, and we miss that. It is literally something that we have lost. And we're willing to put up with a lot, but you have to offer us the same thing. You have to want it as bad as we want to watch you. And if we don't feel that reciprocal feeling, it's hard to bring back, and we're working on it. But Major League Baseball is getting real close to the edge of the envelope in my mind. I think that cooler heads will prevail. It just is ugly as we sit. RJ Ochoa is in the hole down in the valley right now. He won't be joining us, but we might be able to come up with a question of the day. We're going to put a bow on the show that is a fine Wednesday afternoon. Take your calls, answer some emails and tweets, and close the door on today's show. So you want to hang around here on the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com.
Nails on a Chalkboard has more listeners. Dan Levitine, weekdays 9 till noon, only on San Antonio Sports Leader, 1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM, all day, every day.
If you need a mask, go see Sam at Sammy's Embroidery Club on San Pedro. Sam has the mask that you need. If you're in the medical field, at doctor's office, dentist's office, hospitals, urgent care center, Sammy has the surgical medical masks, the KN95, the disposable surgical masks that are certified and FDA approved. In fact, Sammy has been supplying masks for the city, the county, surrounding counties, and even the state of Illinois because he is an approved vendor. I saw Sam last week. He was fulfilling an order for Cook County, Illinois, over 4 million pieces. Sam will get the job done for you if you're in the medical field. We all need masks now, so if you need those cloth, washable and reusable masks, Sam has those as well. Whether you need them for yourself, for your family, for your employees, go see Sam. He's got them. In fact, a lot of people are getting their business logos put right there on those cloth, washable, reusable masks. Sam will get that done for you because that's what he does. You need your logo on gear? Call Sammy's Embroidery Club, 210-824-3900. You need your logo on some polos. You need uniforms. You need logo on masks. Sammy's Embroidery Club. Check the website, samsembroidery.com, or go visit that massive showroom. It's on San Pedro, a mile inside Loop 410, next to Big Lots across from McDonald's. And you know you'll work with Sam on your project. He's the owner, and he's by his phone right now, 210-824-3900, 824-3900 for Sammy's Embroidery Club.
If you're a bacon lover, I've got great news for you. This is Michael Kilbasa with Kilbasa Smoked Meats. Our authentic dry-cured bacon is now available at grocery stores near you. We make it the old-fashioned way with the finest pork bellies in our legendary spice blend. We don't pump it full of water or chemicals like other brands. All you get is thick, savory slices of delicious bacon. I hope you'll give it a try, and if it's not the best bacon you've ever eaten, I'll give you your money back. Kilbasa Smoked Meats, slow-crafted in Texas since 1949.
Injuries happen even during a crisis. When they do, skip the ER and get to the Ortho Now Injury Clinic by TSAOG Orthopedics. Ortho Now provides walk-in care for injuries like broken bones, sports injuries, dislocations, and sprains and strains. With 2 locations, they have extended hours Monday through Saturday, on-site x-ray, casting, and bracing. Ortho Now has everything you need to treat your injury with no urgent care or emergency room copay. Injured? Get to Ortho Now. Visit TSAOG.com/Ortho Now for more information.
I've always wanted to learn another language, but every time I try, it never sticks. So I decided to give Babbel a try, and I really like the teaching method of the app. I started with the beginner lesson on Babbel, and it starts with simple words and phrases. And soon, you're putting those words into a conversation. Each lesson takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and they're all really different, which keeps things interesting. The app is really smart. It actually keeps track of the words I'm struggling with so I can practice them and get better. I chose Babbel because it was created by real language teachers. They built it around real life, how people actually communicate, and what they care about. I can't wait to use my new language skills in the real world. Dos cervezas, por favor.
With Babbel, get conversational in Spanish, French, German, and more. It just takes 10 to 15 minutes a day. Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com or download the Babbel app and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com, Babbel.com.
Nobody beats the low prices at Mother's Window Tint, your car, stereo, and auto security headquarters. Nobody beats our prices on high-quality performance window tint and expert installation. It's essential to protect yourself and your family from the sun's hot rays and car thieves. Save $100 off regular winter prices when you purchase the Mother's Window Tint and Alarm package. This is a deal. Save $100 off our regular winter prices now at the start of summer. Limited to stock on hand. For 36 years, Mother's Window Tint, home of the tint and alarm special. Want to make your car go thump, 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 mother thump? Premium car stereos on sale. Sony, Kicker, JVC, JBL, Diamond, Kenwood, Memphis Audio, all on sale. GPS, remote start systems, all on sale. Save $100 on the Mother's Window Tint and Alarm special. Nobody beats the low prices at Mother's Window Tint, your car, stereo, and auto security headquarters. Mother's Window Tint, home of the tint and alarm special. Remember, do it at Mother's and save.
It is the Blitz here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, on the go at ESPNSA.com. And make sure you're visiting that on the regular. And if you're away from your radio and you're maybe listening to us on a variety of different methods, if you go to ESPNSA.com, we have our YouTube channel available to you right there. You can watch our broadcast from on top of Thompson Hill. You'd normally get Minix's kitchen, though he took the day off. We expect him back tomorrow after his sojourn to the Orlando, Florida area. And James Pledge, you can check him out in his Jimi Hendrix t-shirt live in our studio. As the NFL or the NFL, as the NCAA landscape changes, as the potential for these athletes to make money off of their likeness has become evident and it is coming, now we got to start thinking about how much value does a college athlete offer in the social media world. Now, we know that there's lots of Instagram models out there, lots of them getting paid upwards of like 80 cents a follower. I mean, there's lots of ways to get paid. Now this is a brand new venue, and you got to consider Twitter following. Your Insta following is now part of your brand. And Sam Ellinger up there in Austin, the UT quarterback, has quite a following, 197,000 Twitter and Instagram followers, and there's value to that. And if he can be out there promoting like we see other folks in social media, he can get paid. And according to Axios, by his followers and the different demographics that break down in those followers, he could be worth upwards of $1 million a year, $962,000 a year for his social media influence. This ain't just about local car dealer inviting Jim Bob to come out and sign some autographs on a Saturday afternoon while he's wearing his leather jacket and showing off a banner or two. This is genuine market movement. There are players out there. Can you imagine how much Trevor was going to be worth at Clemson next year? I don't know what his following is like, but if I owned a shampoo company, I would be more than offering a little bit of money for those beautiful locks hanging out of the back of his helmet to be clean and shiny.
How much are you worth in Twitter followers?
Oh gosh, I'd have to pay you. I'm not the very idea of my brand being my random thoughts in between my radio show. I just don't understand. And quite frankly, I'm not a news generator. I'm a news reactor. That's my job. I don't break news. So I'm not out there trying to scoop anybody. I react to it. So my thoughts, it's very difficult for me to comprehend, but it is a bold new world. And as so many of us look at the NCAA wondering, how is this going to work? Well, there's this cachet of athletes. If you're the starting quarterback at the University of Texas or any of the Power 5 schools, there is genuine income to be made, enough to where we hope that it will deter some athletes from maybe going pro. I guarantee you this, if Sam Ellinger becomes a starting NFL quarterback, he ain't going to be paid $1 million. He's going to get league minimum because he's not going to be one of those first-round draft picks. It might behoove some of these quarterbacks that have built their brand and made it to some of these bigger schools to literally stay in school because they can make more money from their following than the league would pay them. And that's the best news you can offer any of these athletes.
Is that something that can translate, though, like social media influencers that can pay for endorsements and follows? And can that translate to, NFL quarterbacks?
I don't
Can they
think
make
so.
money
I think
like that?
I think if Ellinger falls into the NFL pool, he becomes a forgotten entity. It pays him to stay in college because he is still the quarterback at the University of Texas, and those 197,000 followers that he has are going to hang on every word until he is no longer the quarterback of Texas, and then he gets a free lunch for the rest of his life. So it's an interesting turn and a thought that I don't think a lot of people have focused on, that it might be worth it to stay. I want to thanks for everybody hanging with us here on the Blitz. We'll see you in 21 hours. Hungry for something other than leftovers? Support your favorite local restaurants at satxtogo.com. Get your fill